small break for me.
A small break, yeah. So I saw you kind of like just crack your knuckles, and you're just like, "All right, I'll
I
just
always
hang
do that.
out."
I like scratch my nose. I'm like, well, I'm limit breaking now.
Oh, that's the same thing. Like, but I'm doing like normal A7 or whatever. But like when it sucks me into that first room, and I'm just like, "What's the point of me even thinking right now? I have a thing of Cheez-Its right here, and I'll just start eating them while like, I don't know.
Your job is to stand there.
Yeah, just
Travel
stand there.
until we tell you to not stand there.
So frustrating. All right. Welcome, everybody. Today is Saturday. It's April 2nd. I'm Frosty, and this is MogTalk. If this is your first time joining us, MogTalk is a show where we discuss a variety of topics involving Final Fantasy XIV in hopes to keep you a more informed and keep you a more informed. I need to put player there. Keep you a more informed player and help make you a better player, whether you are a Sproutling or you're farming savage, whatever you're doing. We were planning, okay, guys, we're going to do a world first progression show. We're going to bring a couple of world first people on the show and talk to them. Instead, I have some first class people on the show today. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things here. And I mainly a lot of things about A6S. And I think it's going to be kind of interesting. It's going to be like our episode that we had a little back ago, where we were trying to do multiple videos, but we learned that we can only do one turn at a time. It just doesn't work out. Going over these mechanics into detail takes about an hour and a half, which makes you kind of respect some of those old school strategy videos that people got criticized for. It took like 30, 40-minute videos on certain turns. And shout out.
It's
I
nice
did watch
because they're
those.
interactive at least, though. People can like be asking questions and stuff. Those were just like, here it is, guys.
Here it is. Have fun.
Enjoy. Yeah. All right. Well, let me go ahead and reintroduce our guests that have been on the show, again, 3 times in the last month to come on for Afternoon Coffee, our last review show, and now our second review show. First, returning with us again, of course, is Shaman Arc from Diablos. How are you doing, man?
Doing awesome. Actually leveling an alt on Exodus.
Yeah?
I never thought I'd be leveling an alt, but I actually feel like it's time to do it.
Are you making an Exodus to Exodus?
I'm making it.
So many people leave Exodus, getting one extra person in there. It's like getting one person for every 10 people leaving. Poor server.
Yeah, it's harder than I thought.
Anyways, man, how's A8 trading you? How you doing, man?
Pretty good. We're getting kind of close to seeing Brute Justice. I'm getting excited.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just got a couple hours in there, but yeah, you gotta put your hours in before you see it. Yeah.
It's rough, man. I don't even want to look at a video right now. When we get to that show, and we'll bring you. Yeah, you guys come back on that show too, and we'll just talk about it. And by then, you guys would have cleared it, and then by then, I might have cleared A6S.
It's a lot better than A4S though. Like people are happy. It's
yeah.
When I don't have to try to motivate people to keep coming to raid, it's always good. Then I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. All right. Next, but not least, of course, we have returning with us, Polana Rao, aka the Big Lebowski. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Got the call at 9 a.m. from you, like, hey, might need you on the show. I'm like, give me a second. I made some calls. I got things lined up, and I'm good to go here. So I just had a lazy day today. I'm still, rocking out.
I like it.
Um,
Make us feel a little bit manly. Like you have the face hair here that's like going out way more than mine is, and then you like bring it down and you have the hair coming up a little bit here at the top.
Oh, yeah. I typically have to wear, gold chains just to know where to stop shaving. But
do you go in? Do you do this in the club?
His beard is representing his eye level getting higher.
Of course.
As a caster, right?
Of course. It does give me a bonus to my intelligence.
Yeah, you're getting close to like that the tank gear for the tank lore gear, where you have the big chest going out. You got the infrared gear.
Oh,
yeah.
So awkward. Anyways, man, how's Team Tempest doing?
We're doing great. We just went through a pretty crazy week. One of our players lives in Korea, and he was giving a lecture for a week. So like, okay, guys, because it was exactly like when our raid times were. Like he was giving that lecture then. So we're like, okay, guys, we can either not raid this week, or we can wake up at 3 a.m. Eastern, and we can go for about 3 hours then. And we put it to a vote, and everybody was pretty much down to clown. So.
How many people do you have that's actually waking up at this kind of more absurd time to do raid?
Not very many people. This is not a common thing to do, like, unless you're looking at like most of our groups are based around USA times, either they're Pacific or they're Eastern, mostly Eastern.
Well, I mean, like
Um,
in your group in particular,
oh, in
like
my
how many
group it
people
was
like are in NA with those times versus the people
6.
6? So only 2 people are like, oh, this is not so bad, and then you guys are
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we have a guy in New Zealand and a guy in Korea, and they're like, "Wow, this is weird." I'm like, I'm gonna be tired at the end of raid. It's gonna be bedtime for me after it, and we're like waking up in the middle of the goddamn night. And
yeah.
it was well, we got some of the best progression we've done in those nights. So everybody really stepped it up, and they came forward, and we just got past Gavel. So
Where's Gavel at? Where's Gavel? That's
Pretty close to the end.
near to the end of the fight.
is that
Yeah.
is that right before Tornado or?
Gavel's the one where everybody gets a debuff, and you have to do something with it. And there's like there's like tornadoes around the corners, and there's those balls come out again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was a big puzzle, but now that the solution to the puzzle's out there, it's pretty easy to get through.
I gotcha.
Yeah, with the compressed water sack, it's pretty much their last wall.
Yep.
It was the gavel, so now it's like any pulls the clear potentially for them. So it sounds pretty awesome.
How many
Yeah.
more? How many nights are you rating this week?
We're doing, I think we're aiming for 3 tonight, 6 tomorrow, and then 5 or 6 on Monday.
Okay.
So it could be a kill this week. Could be.
Yeah, I'll be
So-
listening on Twitter.
I mean, we still
Yeah.
need to clean. We still need to clean a lot of stuff up. Like,
Yeah.
We still have our problems here and there, but I
Still
mean,
potential. It's exciting. It's
potential, yeah.
exciting and stressful, right?
it's the exciting part. It's where
Yeah.
the monotony is starting to go away. It's like we could kill this right here.
Yeah,
This could be the one.
Man, I know that feeling. We're at this point with A6S where we're only dying like one out of 6 attempts at the very first boss.
Oh yeah.
So we're like we're going up. We're trying to do 1 out of 3 attempts where we make it through fully live.
Well, good
man,
segue into A6. That's one of the cool things about the fight is that you can see that progression. You can be like, okay, we're killing this boss. You get that little check mark on your list. All right, we got to go to this next one now. And you build that. You can see that you're doing better on the first one. You're doing better at the second one. It's a very very obvious sort of like progression of feedback getting from that fight.
I was like, when my DPS meter stops resetting, that means we're doing really well, guys.
nice. All right.
I'm not changing the time on my DPS meter, so we're
what
pulling.
do you have the
within
time at?
I have it at 30 seconds, so like
Okay.
that's still being very generous
Oh yeah.
for resets. So it's like that means that we're starting to make a lot of progress.
Yeah. All right. Well, so today we will continue our video review series. This time we are highlighting A6S or M2S, again, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I actually saw a tweet from Matt, one of the main community guys for
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14, and he was upset. He didn't want to hear anything about A6S. He was like, it's always Midas, M2S. I'm like, it's just Alexander is a generic thing that you can use throughout the entire turn, right?
I mean, they've been very on message about calling it what it is in the game. They did that with Second Coil as well. When people were calling it, T6, T7, T8, T9, he's like, it's the 4th turn of Second Coil. We're like, it's T9, man. He's like, no. It's
I wonder why that's like a psychological thing. It's just like, hey, these are separate entities or something, or I don't know.
It's probably some corporate thing that got handed down from Square Enix. Is like, we see people saying this, we don't want to put that message out there. It'll confuse people. What's the 9th fight? There's no 9 on our menus. What does this mean? You refer to it as what it is in the game. So
Okay, yeah,
that's what I'm guessing.
probably. All right, well, hopefully by the end of the show, I will have a better idea about A6S too. You guys are teaching me a bit about the fight. And hopefully I'll know a lot more of this and I can pass it along. We're going to raid tomorrow night for like an hour and a half or so.
You should. Is everybody in your raid team in the channel? Or they?
I don't think everyone's
You'd be
there.
like,
Maybe a
everybody
couple people.
tune in today. You need to watch.
Yeah, watch it and we do it.
There will be a test. It's
Man.
called raid tomorrow.
Yeah, it's the test is raid. You have to pass it. I don't know how many are in there. Sometimes we have a few of them in there, but usually they go out to the park and play with their dogs or something, I'm sure. Or their cats, whatever. So... Before we get into it, though, I do want to talk about a couple of concepts on this fight, because this fight is it's pretty unique. I'm not going to say it's just a little bit unique. It's pretty unique for, I think, what they've done with the Savage tier so far, in that it's 4 separate bosses, and also it's really early to be really difficult. It's not a simple fight for groups to clear. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are comparing this to A3S, the wall that broke up so many statics that were just like not super great players. They're just kind of like, I want to try to raid and do something challenging, but not hit a complete wall where it's almost impossible to progress. And people are hitting that again with A6S. Do you guys kind of agree this fight is turning out to be like that?
It really does feel 6 is a more complex fight than 7, in my opinion. And I think we did end up spending less time on 7 than we did on 6. I'm probably wrong, but um, but I think what really helps alleviate that is what I was saying before, is that you do have that little bite size, little bits of gratitude. So it's not like you're dying to the same Pepsi Man, over and over and over. You're like,
Right.
oh, we killed the first robot. Now we're on this new robot. You have a sense of moving forward in the fight instead of just being like Pepsi Man over and over. So
Yeah, and push back, die, push back, die. Instead, it's Mirage at this
yeah,
point.
oh yeah,
It's Mirage die. It's kind of early in the morning. Well, early in the morning. I'm saying early in the morning. It feels early in the morning. I got my afternoon coffee, guys. I'm ready to go. I was expecting you to have a White Russian, Balana. I'm really upset that you don't.
I didn't have any clue, so
Uh,
I would have done it.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic because I've been thinking about it for a while. When I first got to A6S, I'm like, oh wow, it's kind of like it feels a little bit like A3S when I first
mhm.
got to it. But then when I got towards the end of the fight, it didn't feel like A3S at all as far as like the final progression was. And I have to be careful because I'm progressing with a different group right now, so it might be that we just have better strengths at how this fight goes. So my personal experience might not be very accurate, but I'm also seeing a lot of groups who struggled on A3S not struggling on A6S as much as they did on A3S. That could be just that they're playing a lot better now, and maybe the newer groups that are coming in, this is their A3S because they hadn't really progressed through A3S before. So maybe that's a good way to put it. As like if you
Hmm.
haven't, if you didn't get through A3S before, or sorry, never had the experience of kind of doing A3S, this is like, your group's first A3S experience, right? But if once you get through something like this, next time it comes up, it won't feel as bad. But when I was going through it, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff to learn, and there's a lot of communication and coordination, and a good amount of like RNG and learning how to manipulate that RNG so it's not so bad and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I still feel like it's not as bad as A3S in difficulty. I think that groups, once they get a little bit deeper in, are going to find that it's that same thing as well. It feels like it at the start, but I think you'll notice that it just kind of like it ends quicker than you would think. Like
Yeah.
you get to Vortexer, and all of a sudden it's not so bad. Like you kill it pretty quickly, and it's like, oh, I thought we were
Mhm.
gonna have to do this for another month. It kind of, the way it was going, it felt like we were gonna have to do this for another month, but maybe not.
I
So
think
we'll
it's
see.
the constant early restarts of the fight,
Potentially,
and like
potentially,
having
yeah.
like the RNG of like where the mines are and where people are dodging the mirages and trying to get all that together. And sometimes it's an easier set, and sometimes it's a harder set. And I think that's
Yeah,
the same thing. Like when it was pushing two players completely on opposite sides that had to meet up in A7S, that's RNG. You could be in the perfect spot and it would work out great. But sometimes you're going to have a really hard one. Sometimes you're going to have a really easy one. And that's the same thing with Mirages I'm seeing is that we'll go in there. It's like, wow, this is perfect. They're all facing exactly the right way that we want them to face. It was baited properly to go to the off tank. The mines are in a way that we can run to a safe spot really easily. And other times it's like, well, you're completely cornered and screwed. You're going to have to hope that you can find that like little tiny spot that's going to be safe off next to the wall where the thing's dodging at it.
yeah. I think that what it was that I just what like when we were doing A3S, we got to a point where it's like we have to optimize now, or else we won't meet the DPS check, and that step just didn't have to happen for my group on A6S.
Mm,
Like we're optimizing now, but we killed the fight already. It's getting faster and faster, but I just never had to go through that step in progression where like A3S I did. So once we executed the mechanics, the fight just died.
Yeah,
So that's
we had
kind
kind
of
of a similar experience where we're like,
yeah,
we need to fix up our vortexer so we have more melee uptime, and then we
yeah.
killed it. We're like, well, I guess we'll just keep using this week 1 strat until week 7, 8, what do we know?
And I think that's the main difference. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Like it feels the same, but there won't be that wall at the end where you just hit it in rage. Like when you hit the enrage, you're probably going to be off by like 10, 15 seconds if you are hitting the enrage. If not, you might even just kill it before you even
Yeah,
ever see the enrage. And I think
it's
that's what people are going to see. So you might not notice the difference between A3S or A6S until you kind of actually get that kill on A6S and realize that it's not actually so bad. So
yeah, it's actually a much more forgiving fight than A3.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And then also to comment on what Balana said about A7S, just we also cleared that one with a little bit less time than A6S. But I do think that there's two types of skills between the two. One is a coordination check, which is doesn't require as much independent skill, and you can really do a lot of as long as your group's really like good attitudes and good at coordinating, you'll get through A6S for sure. Just keep at it, right? A7S has a lot of individual skill checks, so that there might be some problems that could be some problems for other groups if that's sometimes a weakness. Like thinking like Sephiroth Extreme kind of concepts, right? The individual
Mhm.
skill checks. You can't easily carry people through that if they have to take the time to get better at those type of mechanics. So that's something that some groups might encounter on A7S, and I think really skilled groups just kind of blow through A7S and say it's easier than A6S. So just keep that in mind.
So-
I think that's kind of something I've seen consistently. Some groups go through A6S just as fast as us, and then kind of get stuck in A7S. And I'm trying to figure out why exactly, because my experience is that A7S was a little bit easier. But that's
It says,
trying to get that perspective, right?
Yeah. So are you guys still having trouble with it every week? Do you like go in there and one shot it every single time, or do you go in there and you have stupid wipes for a few attempts and then you clear it?
We have our moments. I think this week it was like a 2-shot and then like a 4-shot. We did have a 1-shot somewhere in there, but yeah, we do have some nights where it's like the you'll have like some little mistakes happen. Those just compound on top of each other over and over, and we've had some struggle nights. But this is going to be I think this week was our 13th time clearing it. So we're getting better at it. We've got a little bit of experience.
Oh, that's
behind.
right, because you're doing 2 groups.
You're doing
That's
alts,
right.
I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
holy crap. Am I that far behind?
What week is it?
Ugh.
Nah, because we've been double clearing since like the second week. So
Right.
Yeah, we got one shot, and I mean like a for real one shot where like it's not like one shot on a night, but like we only attempted it once that week and we got a kill on it. That's actually the video that we have right now. It was very clean. But other than that, yeah, blaster. It's usually a couple blaster wipes, and the night this week's kill was like a complete, like we had height errors and everything was going wrong, and but we have gear now, so we don't really have to do that. Well, I guess we're focused on A8S, whatever.
the biggest heartbreaker is when if your healer misses the shot on the vortex. It's like, well, there goes
Yeah.
8 minutes. There goes like 8 to
Yeah,
10
yeah.
minutes.
If you
like,
miss the
just
shot,
down
yeah,
the
yeah.
drain.
I've never had that wipe before yet. But it could happen. We're using our tanks right now. We'll see how it goes.
We have our healer shoot it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's some groups do healers, some do tanks. I don't know too many that do DPS though, because it's so random which DPS gets it. So,
yeah.
but yeah.
Well, it's another funny fact that I was the people who cleared it first, Layla, me, Uni, and their group, their fold, they were working on it on their second clear, I think, with A6S. And it wasn't the whole reason why they were having a big trouble or a big issue with it, but they were on it for hours, and they were wiping at the very beginning to simple mistakes and stuff, because it happens. That fight, you have to be on your toes to really clear it, especially that first part. They were also having issues with... Here, I'm going to get closer to the mic. Here we go, so I'm a little bit louder. They were also having issues at the very end of the fight where 3 players would get disconnected each time.
Oh.
And every single time they got to that last part, I don't know if it was a bug or something with a graphics card, but 3 other players would just completely drop out.
Was it the same 3 every time, or was it
Same 3 every single time? And I'm not sure. I want to turn this up a little bit more. Here we go. Because I'm not seeing it. Oh, whoa. Okay. I think that's a lot better there, guys. I'm not seeing it. I don't know why that could happen. Are you guys having that issue at all with your groups? Are you having any disconnects on the very last part?
No. The only thing that made me perk up at that was because before a maintenance, I can't remember when it was. It was really close to Updog getting the kill. People in A8 were getting disconnected, 3 people at a time. Like all of our raid teams had 3 people just randomly, their game would crash. And that was also the night where we had one of the you messed up execution mechanics in A8, and the mechanic came down and everybody got DC'd. Their games crashed at the same time.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think it's just some like fringe cases out there, just due to like the number of mechanics and number of assets and sounds they had to add in for like all these individual things. It probably didn't get as thoroughly bug checked as other tiers have been.
Which is very depressing to hear. This is like do you
Every
guys think that
raid,
Final
dude.
Fantasy 14 is making decent money right now?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
bringing us some money.
I
Decent
think
money for Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of that money went straight to Final Fantasy 15. You're right. But I mean, like, it would make sense that they would invest more, like another person to just go in there and do bug checks and things like that, or another like 8. I don't know how they do it. I want
it's almost
Yoshida and like the battle team to come on the show, and I want to just say, hey guys, I want to know how you test things. I want to
Well,
know what your process is.
what they do really weird is they don't have like a public test realm or anything like that. There's other games that'll open up. It doesn't matter like how big your team really is until you
Mm-hmm.
open up the floodgates and have everybody hit it and try to find something. There's gonna be like little bugs that slip through, and that's those are things that are just gonna happen. You have to play through them. So,
Nah.
but luckily they've been fixing a lot of those. That sounds really weird that was happening to them. Like that. When was this happening?
This week.
This week?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird.
That's it's strange, but I want to say that's
It's here.
indicative of like the experience that we had or most teams had.
Hmm. Well, hopefully by the time that we're getting there, that's not going to be something that we ever even think about. I think why I
wouldn't be
enjoy the game
with it.
so much is because by the time I get to it, any issues are fixed because the beta testers that are the world first progression groups have already hit it.
There you go. Yeah.
Um, so they should be paying these world first groups like money to get to the end for all the work that they're putting in, all the testing that they're finding, and like they definitely deserve some sort of compensation. I don't know.
Cool. If there's a cash prize, world first, like that'd really step up the competition.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But then like if you put money involved with it, then okay, well we couldn't beat it because your game doesn't work. That's going to be the excuse, and then it'll take some conflict. But it should be just a beta test prize. Finding bugs. The more bugs you find, the more money you get. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike
all
kind
right.
of exploded there for a little bit, but
Oh, did it? All right. I'm gonna try. I'm trying my best to balance it out, guys. I'm gonna hold
Okay.
back here. All right. Whoa. All right. Cool guy.
Oh yeah.
motorcycle
Some
guy.
jerks.
Yeah. I hit my desk. I think that was me hitting my desk. I don't know. But I'm gonna put my hands back so I can't do it anymore. The last fact that I really want to talk about on this fight is that the way they designed it. You can look at it as in one fight with 4 different phases, and you get to pace yourself through those 4 phases until the very end, where you have to start actually trying to clear it and go at a decent pace. But the first couple of them, you can clear it and be almost completely dead, res everybody, get weakness off, and go for the second attempt.
Yep.
This makes it kind of nice because it allows players to kind of say, hey, let's think about this next set of mechanics and how we're going to explore beating it. Is this something that's like a good raid design, or is this something that's just like, it's not that big of a deal?
Yeah, that ties into what I said. It's a more forgiving fight than most
Right.
things. You can have deaths early on that ultimately won't really affect the end of your game. Where if you look at something like 7 afterwards, where every death gives this boss a stack, like that's a less forgiving
Super
mechanic.
punishing. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for like a second or first fight, and so I think it is actually pretty well paced, despite how much of a wall people have been hitting. It's a more forgiving fight than A3 was, so it's easier to get that feeling of progression, to move forward in the fight, to see more mechanics, to get improve on before what you're doing before, but also see new things. Like even if half your team's wiped out, like I don't did this make another show where I was talking about the crazy strategy that we had when we first came in there. We're like. Once we had killed Blaster and we got to the second boss and we wiped her, we realized that, this resets every time everybody dies. We're like, we got summoners. I'll sit outside the wall. I'll wait. You'll all die. I'll come in and I'll res you. And we got a few extra looks in on the on each boss because of doing that. I mean, it's a stupid little thing because we hit in rage while we're sitting around, but it's a more forgiving fight in that you can see more and do more, with that, even with little mistakes.
The fight would be pretty tough if they just had the next robot drop right on top of you after you
Right.
kill one. A little bit tougher as in like one execution and everything, but it would take significantly longer for groups to learn the fight because you wouldn't get those opportunities to kind of push forward after almost completely wiping to a boss. You'd probably just get stuck on Blaster most of the time, and that's all you get to see, which isn't necessarily the most fun.
Which is hilarious because dropping them all on you at once is what they do in A8.
Yeah, that's what they do in A8, but you know those mechanics already. So.
Well, I mean, like,
Not doing
so
them all at the same time.
would you encourage SC to continue doing this? I have like at least one fight like this every single tier.
That'd be boring.
Oh, okay.
I
Completely do it. Yeah.
I like early fights that are kind of done like this. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be exactly the same way where there's multiple bosses in a row like this, but this is creative, right? Very very unique boss. I don't think I've ever done a boss like this in any other MMO.
Well, they
before,
had that
so
one boss. What was it? A2 or it wasn't A2. It was A4. A3, somewhere where you would like go for you kill bosses, kill
Yeah.
mobs, and when you got to the final boss, they had different buffs because
Sorry,
Two.
yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that one's a little bit. That one is very similar actually, but
in some way, yeah.
yeah.
So, hopefully they keep up with innovative fights. Because, I mean, A6S, again, is great. I just wish that the mechanics difficulty were a little bit reorganized so it wasn't so ridiculous to go through at the very beginning. Because I hate that punishing start. I really do. And if you're having a night where someone's just slightly off, you're not clearing. You're not even, like, progressing.
The punishing start's better than the punishing end. It
Yeah.
is a billion times better. I keep telling you this.
That is-
You'd be so upset if Blaster was the last boss. Trust me. You'd be super angry right now.
Maybe. But then again, this is the only boss I'm really having experience with, so I'm angry anyway. So. All right. Well, let's get into this video now. I'm going to pull up the video here, switch over. Hopefully my scenes don't completely screw up. There we go. There we go. So we're going to go over this video in detail, and we're going to actually use Balana's video here to start off with. And we're going to have us kind of go into each mechanic, and we'll stop when these mechanics are starting to happen. And I'll just kind of start and stop when I have questions, everything. Because I'm not going to be able to explain the last few parts, for sure. Because I haven't cleared it yet. Let's go through the first boss here and just kind of talk about it. And one other thing, guys, if you have any questions for the show, anything that you want to discuss about A6S or anything else, and I need to actually pull up that document while I'm at it too, ask them. And Kerr will collect all that information here, and we'll go over it. Yeah. And also, if you guys have a video you want us to play, there's a chance that we might play that video. Just make sure it's really goofy and you messed up a lot, because I want to watch that. I don't want to watch a perfect clear. We're going to watch those here. Well, kind of. Balana's, yours clear is not a perfect clear.
No, we have some little mistakes here and there, but we don't make mistakes. Just have happy accidents.
Happy. Very good. Very good. All right. So let me pull this up now. Bring this over here so I can see this a little bit better. And let's go ahead and start it up. I'm going to make sure the sound is good too, that you guys can hear everything. Well, actually, let's mute it. It makes more sense to mute it because I don't want.
Muting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm muting it at least.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't do it on our end. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So we're starting off the fight, and the fight's pretty straightforward. Going into it, I like this. I do this all the time as a scholar, and I think just to let you guys know, if you're a scholar or you're a stupid advertisement scholar or you're a summoner, you should always put down the shadow flare.
Yep. That's my timings. You do it 6 seconds before.
So
Like
you do
when
it
your
6
countdown.
seconds?
Yeah, when the countdown hits 6, you do shadow flare. Once it hits 3, you start casting Bio 2, and then your Bio 2 lands, and you lose 1 tick on your shadow flare, but it's already out there. So.
Oh yeah, I do it at 15 seconds.
Oh, you're a scholar. You have to do like ad
Yeah.
load deploys and things. You have more stuff to do. Summoner, I just
Yeah.
need to worry about the DPS part of that.
No, I do it at like 9 seconds. I do add load, deploy, and everything right at 15 seconds. And I just say screw it. If the add load doesn't last throughout that 30 seconds, what's the point? Like if it's only going to hit like the tank, then all right, whatever.
I think our scholar casts at like 10 typically.
10. Yeah, that makes sense. And then that gives you time to actually start your dots. And I've been at this point to where I've been scumbagging DPS. Although I'm bringing healing back, I'm still going to scumbag DPS at the beginning for my pool. And I'm always the first one to boss aggros.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Perfect. All right, so let's start it up now. Sorry, I just want to go into that real quick. So Blaster is the guy that you're going to see the most of. You're going to constantly see this guy. You're going to hate this guy. I don't know, man. Starting this off, his first mechanic, does he start a tank buster first? Is that like the first thing he does?
The first thing he does, I think he puts a stack on the tank is the first thing that happens.
Okay.
So there's a stacking magic vulnerability debuff. That's what your tank swap is. We do it when he jumps up, but it's going to be around like 3 stacks when you want to swap.
Right. And so 3 stacks is pretty good. And there's a couple ways to handle that too. Like in our group, we have them swap out after the first jump.
Yep.
And some people just keep it the entire time, right?
Yeah, you can do it either way. The way we do it, we just have a paladin pull. It's so they can, because the other tank needs to run around and hit the mines. So we have one tank blow their cooldowns and do it, and then the other tank come out and they have their cooldowns to go hit that.
And some people just try to push and only get 2 sets of mines, right?
Yeah,
And that
we
way they
only
don't
we
have to
only
worry
get 2 sets.
Okay, well, we get 3 sets, I think. Nice. Just because I'm not a scholar DPS.
Well, two
Uh,
sets
I
that we have to
actually,
worry about.
yeah,
right.
I'm curious. I actually haven't seen a kill where there's a three set at mine. So if there's a kill video out there that's like that, I'd like to see kind of how they deal with it for the
Mm-hmm.
entire fight.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, a lot of people are probably not at that point of DPS if they're clearing it. And so then, during this whole thing, we kind of skipped over it here. He cast this wonderful move, and what's it called? It's called
Mind Blast.
Mind Blast. Is that right?
Yeah.
Let's go back in here and just make sure I get it from the right part. Oh no, it's going slow. It's going okay. It's back, I think. So he goes in there, and you have to interrupt it. You guys usually have a paladin interrupt it, I'm assuming. And if you don't, then I'm guessing that was quick as hell, man. Like, I
Yeah.
barely saw that.
Yeah, we have either our bard do it or a paladin do it or a ninja do it. Doesn't matter who does it, just have somebody do it.
Yeah.
We for a little bit we experimented with having Celine do it as like a third option. Yeah, if you have a monk, we've had our monk pull it off once. So we're like, oh shit, oh damn, it's down. I'm in the wrong stance. Don't worry, I got this, and he managed to land it. So
Yeah.
just it wouldn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who, just have somebody silence it.
I believe in our group, our pally gets the first one because it's like there's nothing else going on, so he can just hold on to it. It almost works well with his opener, anyways. And then after that, everyone the bard does afterwards, it kind of lines up with blunt arrow. So as long as he doesn't use blunt arrow during like the ad phase or something like that, which you're AoEing anyways, yeah. But we always have the pally back him up too. So
Huh.
yeah, just have as many people trying to do it as possible. No cooldown won't, no silence cooldown won't be up by the next one, so you can blow them all on the same one.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Right, so then mines come out. It's like the next mechanic here if we're going through.
Yeah.
So you
go
get
ahead,
a shot of it right there. So these mines, they're normal as well, but they spruce them up in that there's 2 normal mines that show up and then 2 hidden ones, which are like the mines from were they in normal as well? In T.
Yep. Mines are there, but they're different.
T8, T8.
Oh, T8.
T8 mines. Yeah, the T8 mines, they're pretty much the same, where they'll show up, you'll see where they land, and then they disappear. And if you don't have somebody go and detonate it, it'll blow up and kill your whole raid.
The dark blue ones are the ones you want to hit. The other ones you want to not hit. They
That's
do
right.
knock backwards, yeah.
Right now where
can
it's
you-
paused, you see one of them going off.
Yeah, can you go back just a little bit? Is this the one that your pally popped hollow on? Did you say? He
No,
looks like he's
no,
taking
we have our
damage.
warrior go first. Our
See,
warrior
it's,
is...
see, this is what I was talking about. He's in Sword Oath, right? See,
Our
You can't-
paladin's tanking, though. Our warrior is...
Oh, I got what you're saying. I got you. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, because our paladin does the second set. Our warrior does the first one.
I got
And
you.
I think he just does thrill and runs through them. Because this is actually... I think this is our 6th week in there. So
yeah, what I wanted to point out there, this is a good time to pause it. Is if one thing that's really good for Blaster, is because if your tank's slow to pick up the mines or hit the mines, then he's potentially going to drop a mirage in a really bad location, and he can't get it up against the wall. You actually have the mines hit for about 16k unmitigated with like no tank stance or cooldowns or anything like that. So really just need one cooldown, and you can immediately get hit by one, go into the other, and then go to the wall of your group. You just kind of plan it out because it's a bit situational awareness for the tank, which tanks are usually very good at, to know which mine they should hit first to bounce into the next one immediately and then go back. And speaking of like healer DPS and things like that, even if they get targeted by the Mirage, it's only about 4 to 5k. It's physical too, so they can pop their parry move or a Sheltron or whatever. You pretty much, as long as you have them shielded and they pop like a minor cooldown, they don't really need any healing almost. And there's no raid damage going out or anything. So you want to hit those 2 mines as soon as possible. Make sure that he gets to the same wall as the group to drop his mirages. And once you get that down, you remove crap ton of RNG from the fight. Your tank is never dropping a mirage in a weird spot or standing in a weird spot for mirages. I'll kind of explain mirages and stuff. But
well, you also have to remember that when you hit the mine, it's going to knock you back from the center of the mine. And also the explosion radius of the mine is larger than the graphic. So if you're thinking, oh, I'll just squeeze over here and do some DPS as like a ranged, or I'll squeeze over here and throw some heals, don't do that on the hidden ones because they're going to blow up. If it's the regular ones, cool, you can stand by them. If somebody hits them, then that shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
But just be cognizant of where those mines are, even if you're not the one popping them, because you can't stand near them at all.
Yeah, and this is rough too. Our tank never drops it near the group. It's always out wherever. If it's on a tank, then we're like, okay, it's on a tank. It's out there somewhere. Be aware that it's out there somewhere.
It's a common thing for groups that are kind of early in the fight. But that adds a lot of RNG to the fight, a lot. And on Blaster, you want to remove as much RNG as possible.
So
So
do
you
you
want
guys
to,
have them bounce over to the same wall everyone else is on?
if you can
Ideally,
do
yeah, they're coming
that,
back in.
if you can do that, I mean, it depends how the mines spawn, right?
Hmm.
If the mines spawn in a not favorable position, we still expect them to try and take it as fast as possible and just try and get to as close to a wall as possible. It doesn't work every time, but they still get really close. Like it's very rare for it ever not to go right.
Hmm.
Because again, they can hit them one after another very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, well, let's talk about the mirages now. All this is happening at the same time, the mines and the mirages, and this is what kills most groups. It's because they can't. The invisible. There's two visible mines, and they're like, oh, I can see those, I can avoid those, but of course they have to make sure they are aware where the invisible mines are too, because they can't stand anywhere close to it. At the same time, they have to put down a mirage, and they have to have a strategy for how they're doing that, because when you're putting down the mirages, those are going to charge. They're going to just target a random person in a group, doesn't matter who, and then charge towards that person.
Where they were standing.
Yeah, where they were standing. It all happens
Yeah.
like they drop, and then 1 second later they pick somebody. And I was noticing this too. This is one of those things that some people have to kind of get used to, is that after the mark disappears, you can still move around, and it's still going to follow wherever you're going. The mark, like when you drop dive bombs, like in T9, the mark disappears. You can move to a safe spot, right?
Right.
Completely
There's like a
opposite here.
little bit of a moment in between that and here.
It's small moment.
So as you can see here, this is me messing up our entire plan for Blaster. Our idea is to have the people who don't have marks around the outside edge, and the people who do get marks go like a step in. Like if me and Ice Fox had switched spots, we would have been a pretty perfect setup here because we had like a ring of things around the center, and then all the people on the outside. So all the blasters would point, away
Okay.
from the from where
So-
like the center of the arena. So they just shoot off the edge basically. So everybody's going to know the other side of the arena is going to be the safe place, and that's where we're going to migrate over to. I think we're off a little bit because we had to just do the mines. So like
Okay.
typically, this would, if the boss was at direct north right now, this would be like kind of the ideal spot on that line, like on the edge of the circle. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, because we do it to where we have two people on one side, two people on our side. The melees are on each side of the boss, and then we spread out. It's all around the boss, and then everyone runs towards the tank after that. Then it creates like an indentation that goes towards the main tank, minus whoever's out there.
And then you can just blindly move to the center of the room as long
Yeah.
as you don't hit a mine. Yeah.
Yeah,
how we
and
do
watch
it
out
as
for
well,
the one.
which I can show. Like this is good. Like Balana had this way is like really good as well. So we can show both ways because in my video I do the same thing you're talking about, Frosty, as well.
We'll go over that. I figure.
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
just
we
go,
don't have to.
Yeah, so we'll go over and watch Balana mess up real quick. Boom, completely out of place. But see,
But
it's not
mine
that big of a
C
deal.
is like not pointing there. We have one pointed off towards the who would that point toward? I think that's pointing towards the tank. That one that's
Is
kind of
that the
weird over
tank?
there.
I can't see his name.
So it's
Sal.
kind of a low quality video. I'm sorry about that, but
No, it's good. It's good. I wish I could.
That's our
it's an-
art actually.
Oh, it's your bard.
Or no, it's pointed towards I don't know who it shows actually.
All right, let's go back. Now the thing is, it keeps like doing this little flake out thing when it happens, but whoa.
Yeah, it's Sardigan. He's out there, and so is the other tank. Sardigan and Sasari are both out there. So it drops onto
Yeah,
Sardigan.
he's like,
It
I'm go-
targets our tank,
Yeah,
like,
it's
who
the
had
tank.
just gotten the mines. So yeah.
Yeah.
But people find a safe spot. Nobody gets hit there. Thank God. So we immediately go into the ad phase once you push it to 50%. And all you got to do is here they start channeling that same mind blast. You can't interrupt it, but there's 5 of them. All you just got to do is kill them. It's pretty straightforward. There's no damage coming out, so your white mage can go spam holy. We have a summoner, so
I
just
have a
blow 'em up.
question here, and this is something
Yeah?
I do, and I just don't know if it's a good idea or not. So when I'm a scholar, and on this fight, I throw my 3 dots up. That's like 7.5 seconds of GCDs, right? And then I bane it off. But things die shortly after. Is it worth it to try to do that, or should I just be sitting over there spamming Blizzard 2?
Well, if you compare the potency gain you're getting out of it, coming from a DPS standpoint is how I'm gonna have to look at this, because Scholar's a little bit weird because you could have used that stack to do something else. You could for like a heal or like a lustrate or indom or whatever. From a DPS standpoint, you're looking at the potency values of what you could get. For a Scholar, it's 150. You got energy drain, right? So if you're burning that for the Bane, you want to be doing more than 150 potency. So even if your dots are only out and you get one
Well, I
ticket,
gotta see if it's better than Broil. Like, I could get off how many broils during that whole thing.
that's right too. You get the 3 broils for applying your dots.
So
And
that's
then-
like 4. I think I could get 4 Boreals off with because I have to wait for the tick of bio to go off, so I banes everything.
Right.
I have to make sure that shows up.
So say it's 3 GCDs.
Okay.
And 1 stack. So you have the 150 plus the 3 Boreals. Boreals what, 180? 160?
God, I think it's 180. I can't. Why can't I remember that? I don't ever look at it anymore. I just know it's a lot of damage.
It's less than 200. So
Yeah.
for easy math, we can say that it's 850 potency.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of your dot ticks is 35, 35, 45. So that's 110. If you get 1 tick on all 4 of them, that's like 400 potency right there. That makes up for it immediately.
Okay. So yeah,
Royals 170 potency for the record.
that makes sense. 170.
Yeah.
Hey, wow, you're right.
It's like what? It's 180, 160. Oh, 170. Right around it.
So yeah, that's awesome. So I'm actually doing a good job. I feel better about myself.
Yeah, like, and I remember we were talking about this before the show started, but this phase is like the health on those mobs is so low. 1 AoEer can probably solo that phase with some decent gear, and you're probably gonna have 2 people doing it. So just keep that in mind when you're using resources in that phase. Do not pop cooldowns though.
I do Kindle there just because.
You doing unless you can afford it, right? Like, and then you're beating the 3rd set of mines already and stuff like that. Like, if you need more single target DPS, you might want to consider holding cooldowns on that part because it's not a tight DPS check unless you've had a bunch of deaths or something like that before the first dive bomb. So just keep that in mind, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty patty.
It's a good recover spot too for like if people have died, absolutely. Like healers can get people up as long as it's not like super crazy. We've had so many recover spots there.
Yeah.
All right.
So it comes back down on whoever had aggro when he jumped up.
I noticed you guys go. You don't stay in the center. You go off to the north side. Why are you going off to the north side?
It's closer to the exit.
Yeah. See.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So yeah, that's cool that we get to see this because my group stays in the middle, right? So we can watch that after and see the difference. But yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of nice. Yeah.
We do it in the north because center has a higher probability of mines showing up, and north is closer to the exit. See, there's mines all over the center. Why would you want to stand there?
Well, here's the thing.
That's
Like
some
when you're pulling it
RNG,
to like
but
a good side, what if you had mines that were where you were and you had to go to like almost the opposite side of the
They
arena?
can spawn where he is, and they just have to move it.
The outer edge of the arena is always safe. But
Always.
if you're standing up against the wall, completely against it, you can run around the entire arena and never hit a mine.
Okay.
You can always. It's gonna look close. You can always slip right by them.
I see. what you're saying.
At least I've never noticed that. Like, you're always safe if you're standing on the.
I find that the
edge.
hidden mines can trigger if you're on the edges. If you're running
You
around.
can get hit. You
Not-
can get hit by them. Yeah.
Yeah, the hidden mines, but not the regular mines. Yeah, you're right. You can run just around them. Around the
Yeah, I
edge
typically
circle.
give those a wide berth though because they're blowing up. So.
Yeah. Right. Like, of course.
I haven't messed around with them too much.
I think the point, like, we've when we're at the gate, we've had hidden mines spawn right on the gate before, stuff like that. So, it can happen. It's not the end of the world. Just
And this one, it doesn't matter as much because these are tethers, I guess, because
Right.
I cannot really.
Yeah, you can just drop these ones wherever.
Yeah.
I was just saying that if they had a hidden mine spawn at the gate, they just move it to the right or left, and they're still close to the exit, right? Just have to watch the hidden mine that's there.
Is there like certain patterns with those mines, by the way? Is it like always a certain, like, or could they be completely anywhere in the room?
There
They're
are
just kind of wherever. Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Actually, well, I do say you can just drop them wherever, but there's gonna be a nice little example coming up here.
Oh, okay.
So our
Yes.
our off tank gets targeted by a explosion. He goes out, he grabs the mines there. You can see him. Now he's coming back in to do some damage, but he decides to run. It's like you said earlier, how the animation can disappear, but it's still going to be tracking where you are. It doesn't, like lock in until it actually comes down.
Right.
So he was standing out. The icon went away. He ran in next to the ninja, and he got hit by the ninja. Ended up getting hit by 2 of the robots.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Is that the only death in the video?
I think
Yes.
so.
Oh,
Except for there's these 4 robots that die, but
Many ads.
All right, so this next mechanic right here, it's
Let's-
the same
let's pause
mirages
it.
again.
Let's
But yeah,
back
roll
a
it
little
back
bit
a little
so they can
bit
see the
where we
ends.
can
Yeah. Here we go. Let me see. Hopefully it doesn't bug out too much when we roll it back. All right. That's good. That's a good picture there
All right,
because you
yeah.
can see the tethering.
Oh, you can see everything.
Yeah. Oh, sort of. Like you
wait.
can't see that top part because that title keeps
wait.
appearing.
Oh, I just see it. Go forward a little bit because it's just pause on an explosion for me.
All right.
All I see on the screen is just like a big explosion, them landing.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see.
And, all right, here we go. Yeah, this.
Is it playing? It's not playing for me.
Okay. All right. Well, now I see. Okay, I think I'm caught up now.
I'm not
I see
caught up
all
at
the
all.
robots kind of in their position.
All right. Hold on. Let me go back and see if I can fix it. Yep.
Technical difficulties.
I think
But
Arc
basically-
Arc fixed it. All right. So we didn't see anything there. All right. Now I'm just looking at one dead body. All right,
Okay,
no one touch
this is
anything.
past
No
it.
one touch
I'm not
anything.
touching it. I'm not touching
All
it.
right, all right. Let me go back here. Technical difficulties.
I'll explain while we sort this out.
Okay.
So the robot's going to come down and they're going to strike a super cool action pose. They're
Mm-hmm.
either going to Zoidberg at you or they're going to lean forward and put their arms back. If they're leaning forward and putting their arms back, you got to look towards them. If they're Zoidberg, you got to look away.
All right, this is kind of good. You can see one of them. You can't see the other one. I don't know if you're looking at the same one I am, but you have like low health and there's a tether going over too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I just
Uh,
use Aetherflow.
I like Zoidberg, by the way. I never heard
Yeah,
that.
I like
I
the
heard
Zoidberg
Scary
ones.
Ghost.
Turn
Scary
away
Ghost
from
is the one I
Zoidberg.
heard.
I always like the ones when they have the hand with their back because it looks like they're gonna charge at you, and then you have to face them and be like, "Come at me, bro! Come at me, bro!"
Yeah,
That's how I
face
always
down the
think.
ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was just skiing.
You're gonna play like chicken with the guy when he has his hands behind his back, right?
Another way to think about it is the way the arms are pointing are the ways you need to face. If they're pointing behind him, you need to look towards his arms to behind him. If the arms are pointed towards you, you need to look away to where the arms are.
So if they're
That's-
out like this, you gotta go. They're like, look that way.
Yeah.
They're like this. Look this way, guys.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can run with that. And we have people die to this all the time. And the main
Don't-
reason that they die is because they can't figure out which one they're tethered to sometimes. But usually, if you move around a little bit, you can kind of figure it
Just
out.
do a little wiggle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and then again in this one, it's actually you kind of you don't really need them to be anywhere close to each other. It might just kind of happen naturally, depending on the RNG. But don't worry about position too much on this one. Just don't drop it on each other. Like
Yeah,
be
but
like
yeah.
loosely spread out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, if you're greedy with tank DPS and
Just a little bit
it can
greedy
happen.
with
It can happen. I mean, that's really the worst thing that can happen in this phase is you drop it on someone else. But other than that, like it can be as far away as you want it to be.
Mhm.
No big deal.
yeah, I actually messed this mechanic up on our first kill. I looked the wrong way. I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
I see.
oh.
Nice. And they're like,
He's-
God damn it, Balana. It probably cost us this. And
He's like looking at the one that's about to charge on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you take about like 4k damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, and this is a part where, healers can let people die too, because they still take damage. You got to make sure that people are at least like half health.
Yeah, they
At this
take
point.
you take like a couple K.
Yeah, except that where did the rest of the raid take damage from other than that?
The Mirage dropping
Like
on
the
us.
splash
The
and then
Mirage, jumping on them, and then if they weren't topped off before, the fairy might have not hit them. They might have been healing the tank instead.
No, it's not enough damage to kill someone at full health.
All right, so
if-
let's add it up.
let's do something
Mirage,
else. Yep.
Mirage, and charging them. That's
Yeah,
about
that's-
8k, right?
8 to 10k depends who's getting hit. Yeah.
All right. Now let's say Black Mage did their thing where they lost health.
It still would
Convert.
They
This is
still
a
should be
third.
living.
Yeah.
They should mana wall too if they're doing that because it's all physical damage. So, what's their black mage doing?
Yeah. I don't know. We've had a couple situations here where
It
it's
might have been looking the wrong way, or they got clipped by a mine, or there's some other raid damage going on. So yeah, of course, you make sure your people are at the correct amount of health, but there shouldn't be raid damage going out there that would kill anyone.
or you had, your tank stand on one of you and you barely lived through it.
Yeah. If you two people get splashed, you barely live. Yep, that's going. Oh, there's
Yeah.
the hidden mine.
Right, yeah, so we get
If it,
yeah,
right
we do
on the
get-
group. Yeah.
Exactly. We get
but
some
this
good
isn't the
positioning
one that they
sometimes.
hit. They don't hit these mines. They're
No,
just
yeah,
getting boss.
because if you kill the boss, all the mechanics end. You can just ignore this last set of mines if your DPS is high enough,
Yeah.
and you can also ignore the next set of mirages. But we get actually a really cool feature, I guess, of the game. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but so we're taking him down. It's the same mechanic. He does rinse repeat, basically
Right.
the rest. It's going to be the charged mirages again.
Yeah.
The ones that you need to dodge out of the way of instead of look away. But we kill him right when they come down.
Nice.
So I
You
get
get
the little
splash
message
damage.
saying I get hit by 13k, but I don't
didn't
actually
get
take
hit.
the damage. Yeah, so little phantom
Nice.
damage.
And you guys aren't even like, you're like going on.
Yeah, no, there's no time to lose.
You guys don't do any like 5-second countdown.
That doesn't make
anything.
any sense to do a
We
countdown.
used to do a countdown, which was just the tank counting how long it's going to take him to get there.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, it takes me 6 seconds to
I
run.
want to make sure this is really clear, though. The countdown at before a encounter starts is because you're doing damage before the enrage starts, the timer for the enrage starts. But now that the enrage timer is going, you are doing 0 damage. So even if you're doing crappy damage because the pool is messy, it's still better than 0 damage as the enrage is ticking.
Right.
So
Yeah.
pull as fast as you possibly can because you're just doing. It's like your group's sitting around the boss and doing nothing, and and the enrage is just ticking down.
Yeah, I
So
don't know
that-
if we mentioned this yet, but this fight has a 10-minute and 30-second enrage
Yes.
from when you pull the first guy.
Yes.
Which seems kind of
It's just-
intense for
so,
4
yeah, like,
bosses, but
It's 10
then again,
minutes.
it's
You got
like-
all the time in the world.
That's
Yeah.
my favorite way to think of it, though. It's just like you're like sitting at a boss that's already pulled,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just doing no damage for 0 seconds. That's what that's doing. So there's absolutely, you should not be doing countdowns or anything between these counters. Pull as soon as possible. Even if someone's lagging behind for whatever reason, they got raised or something like that, you still pull as long as they can get in the gate within 15 seconds.
Okay.
And you don't need them for some special mechanic within the first 15 seconds, I guess, too.
All
Which I don't think it's anything like that.
So
if it's like tanks or something.
If it's the main tank, yes, that's something.
you guys kind of agreed it's okay to make that boss the first boss because you'd rather have him at the beginning than the end.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's where most of our mistakes happen. Even in farm happens there.
That's why I said about A3S too. I would have hated the Digititis knockback towards the end of the fight. It would have been the worst thing in the world to have something like that at the end of the fight.
So to clean up like where people make most mistakes on that first boss, it's always during the Mirage Mine part, and it's usually during the part where they charge the dive bomb part. It's not the tethers. Tethers you have deaths on there, but it's nowhere near the same as the drop down and the mines. What advice could you give people to help them kind of get past those parts a little bit easier? To help, do they just need to have better raid awareness, or what is it?
Yeah, come up with a plan, stick to the plan, know that the plan's going to fail every single time, and you need to be able to adjust to it. Like, be able to look at 4 things and then determine if you're going to be hit by them.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of awareness thing you need to do.
Before that, you have to check where it's okay for me to walk in case like there's the off tank's a little bit behind, right? And where you actually have to stand, because if you're too close to one of those hidden mines, you'll blow up. Even if you're like
mine should be cleared by the time they're down though. Those hidden ones should be gone.
Yep, they have to be.
Okay.
Or like otherwise you're playing poorly with the RNG.
Okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm dying before that happens. All right, so every once in a while I die before that happens, and that's because after the hidden mines go down, you can't visually see them anymore.
Right.
And so the tank knows where they're at, but you don't know the proximity of where you have to go.
Yeah.
So unless melees, they don't have to worry about it at all.
So this is some of the good advice I can give to kind of help with the RNG of it, and most groups do something like this or similar. But when you're pulling the boss, obviously you keep it, like you guys are doing it in the middle. Balana's doing it in the middle. Most groups keep it in the middle on the pull because that means you're equal distance for every possible safe point in the room, depending on how the mines spawn. So that immediately helps with the RNG of how the mines spawn. Your tank is going to go to the area that has the most space. They might pick the wrong one sometimes, but you can work with it. They'll pick an area with space, basically. All ranged and melee should kind of be close together to the boss so that they can follow the tank to that safe area, which means that like you're far away from mines just by default because you're following the tank. Then you kind of have some kind of maybe predetermined spread out pattern or how you want to drop your dive bombs. It depends on your group, but you obviously don't want to drop them on top of each other. And hopefully you've picked the side with the most space, so you have the most space to spread out on. So that kind of helps with like some of that stuff you're talking about there, right? Like you won't get clipped by a mine spawning on top of you or blowing up because you're just always going to move with the tank every time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the issue, and it's it's a rough RNG sometimes. I'll have like invisible mine here. So I'm the farthest out. So we have this little boomerang thing going on, right? The main tank's in the middle, then we have
After
people
you
kind of
move
spread
from the
out.
center, you mean, right?
Well, yeah, and so not even moving so we're moving from the center, we go out, we spread out there, and then where he moves, it's like that much room for me and one other person to kind of stack. And so we have to kind of work our way around and figure out, do I need to stay here? We obviously can't stack on top of each other.
You can if you both don't have an arrow on top of your head.
Well, yeah, if we both don't have an arrow, but if we do.
I mean, if you only have one, you can also stack on each other because
Yep.
AoE's healing is going to be topping everybody up, so it doesn't matter if you have to heal 4 people or 8 people. Like,
Right.
Yeah, make good use of your space. Like, hug your tank. You can hit your tank with it if you want to. If you feel you need to, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to hurt the tank too much. So you can get like 2 mirages very close to the tank, and maybe 3 mirages on the same side, and the other, and like you can drop it on top of your melee DPS. They're not going to care as long as they didn't have an arrow. Just be aware of who has arrows, right? Make good use of your space. Don't feel it's necessary to spread out when you don't actually have to spread out. In some cases, very similar to Sploose and A3S. I think is it called Sploose or what was it called?
Give me the sluice. Or
Sluice.
No,
Yeah, the little arrow that goes on your head, right?
Yeah. That's
Right. So you sometimes like if 2 people have an arrow, then you need to make sure you're far away apart. But if 2 people have an arrow, if there's one person with an arrow and there's 2 people there, and they're both like a tank and a melee or 2 melee, then just let both melee get hit, right? It's going to be AoE healing in that for that section of the fight anyways, and there's no other raid damage going out too, so it's safe to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. I completely agree. The one thing I will say though is another thing. I just want to know. Do you guys know the timing of when tank busters happen? Is it like always when mines are not down? So if mines go down, there's no tank busters going out.
I don't.
They're fixed intervals, but I do not know. I'm not privy to those.
Okay. Uh, I'm trying to remember how we do it. Kerr does all the healing for us. I don't have to worry about it as much during that part.
The
But
tank busters are pretty minimal on that fight, anyways, because they're all physical and they always hit for the same amount. So
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's
It's
go on.
hard to notice them, but they definitely are there. They're definitely there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're yeah.
Just gotta keep an eye out for it. Do you guys
Yeah.
think you can mainly one heal that first
Oh,
part? Single heal?
Well, yeah. For the
If
most,
no one dies and it goes perfectly.
no, like well, what I'm trying to just say, like, it depends what your group's doing, but
Mhm.
you should be able to be like, yeah, like as long as no one's making mistakes on the other mechanics, yeah, like for sure. There's very
Mhm.
little damage actually going out outside of the main tank, and
Okay.
and most of it has like there's no rush to heal those targets.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially if you're doing a swap, it's probably pretty easily solo healed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, even Bellana's healers were both DPSing at the same time for a lot of parts at the start of this fight. It's
Mhm.
just, yeah, it's very like people at full health can't die if they do the mechanics correctly.
All right. Well, I'm gonna play this, and then Balana, I'm gonna let you pause it when you get to a mechanic that you want to explain.
Okay. Oh, you want me to steer?
I want you to steer for just a second here, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
when you pause it, start talking about it, and I'll try to point with the
Okay.
arrow.
So Brawler here has 4 mechanics. These are the 4 that you need to.
Well, did we pause it?
That's
Yeah.
right. You said pause it when you want to explain the mechanics. So you started.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got
I was
you.
being
Good, good.
clever.
All right, go, go.
So he has single Mega Man Buster, it's blue. Double Mega Man Buster, that's blue. Single drill, that's orange. Double drill, that's orange. What you do with single Mega Man Buster, it goes on the tank, it shoots a big cone. Just only let the tank get hit by that. Double Mega Man Buster, you need to get everybody to stack up. Everybody needs to get hit by that. It gets decreased by the number of people that are in it. Single drill, the closer you are to him, the more damage you take. Get away from him. Double drill, this is the tricky one. He's going to target the person closest to him and the person furthest from him. And he's going to make an explosion go off on him that does a lot of damage to everybody around him and knocks back and stuns anybody by them. So for that one, you just have somebody bait center and somebody bait out the outside of the wall. Everybody else, stay away from those 2 people, but don't stay super close or super far.
Okay.
Easy
Good.
enough.
Makes sense.
That's-
Yeah, that's most of the fight, though. Until
That's
you
the
get
whole
to
fight right there.
Well, until you get to the orbs and everything else.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll get into this here. I've redone my cooldowns now and actually save Raging Strikes and Potion for this guy because fuck him. He needs to die faster. And also because the boss before jumps up after like 15 seconds of my super dots on a normal fight. So these 4 mechanics are come out in random order. First one we get here, like here it's just completely random. You can get the same one like 2 or 3 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So we get a single drill, we all run away. We get double blaster, we all stack up in a line here. You don't need to be next to him, see I'm back here and I still get hit by it. Technically, as if you're a black mage or a caster, you can stand right here for this whole phase.
Right.
As long as
Just-
the chakram doesn't come around. So okay,
I
here's
just-
the other thing. We can pause it.
Yeah,
Is
sorry,
that-
yeah, go.
what was it? What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that this is totally RNG, but it's happened to my group a couple of times. When you're doing quick pulls, one of your tanks still has magic resistance down stacks. If
That
he
is
does
right.
double cannon, that tank should not be in the double cannon because they'll get destroyed.
Right.
It's not shown in this video because like it comes up pretty. It's like a 1 in 4 chance of it happening on the first mechanic. But one of your tanks has magic resistance down. Just try and keep it in mind once
I
you do
think-
the pull.
We actually do. Yeah, we do this. So
You guys-
we
oh, I see
typically
what
we have our off tank
That's interesting.
get the close one, but because our off tank has those magic vulnerabilities downs, he is baiting it here. No, it's not this one. It's actually the next one. When we get the double drill, we have him bait it, but because he has those stacks, it would kill him.
Yeah, there's
And
the home game
and
right
there he
there.
goes. So he home gangs it.
Hmm.
And he stays in
I mean,
with it.
It's
That was
just
actually
like-
single drill. He
That's
was getting
super
greedy
fancy
there.
there.
Yeah.
That's pretty greedy.
But the double cannon, right? Like unless you home
Yeah.
gang it or
Yeah.
do some kind of immunity, you have, and then you have to use the home gang. You don't need your tank in there for the double
Right.
cannon. Yeah, so it's just a warning for once you start
Yeah.
doing pulls.
It's better to keep it safe and not have the stacked person.
Yeah.
So after a certain number of these, what do you know the number of mechanics it goes through before the first chakram? Is it 3? Or is it 2?
I actually don't recall how many.
So-
Before.
Every so many mechanics of those
Like,
4
but-
that I described before, this chakram will come out that you can see at the top of the screen here coming around, and it'll just stay at a fixed distance from the center and rotate counterclockwise around it. And don't go near the front of these things. Whenever you get hit by it, it's going to do a good amount of damage and paralyze you. You can cleanse the paralyze off with the sooner leeches, but it's better just not get hit by it. I get hit by it later. You can see I'm like nowhere near it, but just don't go near the front of where they're moving because it'll hit you.
Yeah.
So once you get him to 0, he's going to finish whatever mechanic he was doing like a butt, and sometimes he'll still spawn the extra chakram.
He's at
And then
exactly 0. He won't spawn it while he's doing that last mechanic.
Hmm,
If that's the
rip.
mechanic right before he spawns it, as long as he's at 0, he won't spawn it. If he had a tiny bit of health left after that mechanic, he'll spawn it still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
So now we go into the ball phase, and there's going to be 3 types of balls that spawn around the outside of the arena and then head towards the center. There's going to be hyper compressed super plasma whatever alpha. There's going to be the larger ball than the alphas called betas, and there's going to be a third type that are green that are untargetable. The small ones you want to kill. The third ones, or the big ones, the second ones that I explained, you want them to reach the center, but they're vulnerable to like slows and stuns, so you can control when they hit. They have a ton of health. You're never going to kill them. We tried to LB3 them just to see if they would die, because we didn't have any way of checking health like when we were first in there. So we're like, how much health does this thing have? I don't know. Hit it with LB3, and so we couldn't kill it. So you just need to manage when that hits. Basically, you don't want to go off at the same time as any other mechanic. Our group, we just have our paladin sit there and chain stun one of them until the DR is gone, and then it'll hit around the right time. There's other ways you can manage it. You can have like your scholar use miasma to slow it, or things like that. The small balls, it's kind of like the ad phase in A3, where you just don't want them to get to the middle. So kill the small balls before they get there. They can be slowed, they can be stunned, they can be heavied. And then the green ones, you just need, if they get to the center, it's a bad time. I can't remember what they do, but it's a lot of damage and it's a bad story. You don't want it to happen.
Pretty bad.
But basically, those ones will explode on contact with anybody. So that's what your tanks are doing this phase, because there's nothing to tank. They run around and they tank those. So you have one person basically grabbing the balls and then another one running around stunning things. So we're getting into this phase here. So the chakrams stay up from before. So the faster you can push it, the fewer chakrams you have. When we were first doing Prague, we'd have like 3 chakrams. We only have 2 here. We have the small balls coming out. That's me running from the chakram, and I get hit when I'm like quarter of the way away from it. It's a bunch of nonsense. So you see the big ones are spawning. Like here, we can see all 3 balls right here. That's a good picture.
Yeah.
We have the small one on the right that's targetable. We have the large one in the center, and then we have the green one that just needs to be absorbed. When the big ones hit the center, because you're controlling when they can hit, you can debuff them. They do magic damage. So things that will reduce the magic damage done by a target will affect the damage done by these large orbs when they explode. So you can virus them, storms them, dragon kick them, disable
You got double
them.
virus too.
And we have double virus, yeah. So I virus the first one, the scholar gets the second one, which you'll see in a second here, unless I forgot to do it tonight.
And how many of those big orbs go in there? Is it just 2?
There's only 2.
All right.
And we found if we do X many stuns on one of them, it'll hit at a good time for us. So this is coming in. I hit it with virus, and then I'm just hitting all the small ones.
This is the
with
painful
miasma.
part right here.
Yeah. So what
Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's also doing his old mechanics again during this whole phase, as I should have mentioned before. But he's going to do 4 of those 4 mechanics. He's going to go through all 4 of them in the order orange, blue, orange, blue. And he only does each one once.
Right.
So if he does single drill first, that means he's going to do the double drill third. If he does single blaster second, he's going to do double blaster fourth. So.
So right now you are dealing with a situation that is extremely frustrating for healers, because you have a group up. He's doing double cannon right now,
That's
and then
right.
the orb's about to hit at the same time.
Well, we had our first orb already hit. We let that first one
okay.
come through. The first one already exploded, and people are getting healed up from that. The second one is getting close, but we've had it stunned. So
Okay. So that spreads it out a decent amount. Then you don't have any more AoE damage after that.
that's right.
Except you
Well-
just have the single damage going out for a double drill.
Depends how the double cannon lines up.
Yeah, but we get the double cannon here, so
Yeah, that's the double cannon right there.
And we had, I think, single drill first on this one, so we have bait last.
Okay.
So we stack up for this. We have our stack point set to A. So any beam mechanic is going to be pointed north towards the exit. So either the main tank's going to be standing there, or we're going to have the raid stacked there. So you always got to be aware of where the person who had aggro when you went to this phase is, because that's where the buster mechanics are going to be aimed.
Okay. Yeah. It's happening.
Yep. So that last one comes in. Scholar gets the virus. It goes off. There's the single drill. So everybody just needs to get away. I'm okay. So I'm doing something weird here, which I'll explain later.
Now, does that drill? I have a question. This is something that we've ran into a couple times in our group. Does that drill, the single drill, hit multiple people it's in line with,
No.
or is it just
No.
Just one person.
Okay, so there's no way that you can double up on that one single drill. It's always okay.
Yep.
All right.
Just before you keep it going again, I'm not sure if I saw this or not, but your warrior had a magic resistance stacks. Did he still take a green orb? He looked like he got hit by something big. I don't know if it was the orb or not. Because I was gonna say, what's your magic resistance if you're a tank doing those orbs?
Right. He did take one. There was actually voice comms going on where he's talking about He's like, okay, I can take this one. I think he popped something
You had to
for it.
Yeah, because our pally actually does all the stuns and the orbs, and like they can heal themselves and all that crap. So
Right. I think we had to stack for that.
our warrior's just doing damage.
We had to stack for the double, and then the paladin needed to go stun something while a green orb needed to be taken at the same time.
Yep,
There were some voice comms going on. They're like, "Hey, I can take this." And
Yeah. So just keep in mind if you have magic resistance. If you have 3 magic resistance stacks, I would not take an orb even with coolouts. It's pretty sketchy. But you could test it out. But if you don't want to potentially throw away an attempt, you might just want to try and get the other tank to do that and maybe do the stun or something like that. Depends what's going on. But he only had 2 stacks.
Cool.
All right. So that's that boss. We aim at north, so he blows the gate open for us.
Done. Easy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So he goes through 4 mechanics, and then that fight's done.
Yep.
You don't have to think about
So
it.
all the
You have
orbs
to-
are gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Either the balls are going to get to the middle and kill you, or this
Do you have to
mechanics
kill?
will
You don't have to
finish.
kill all the orbs, right?
You do. They can go through. They can go off, and the phase will end. You can
Okay.
leave. You can leave like 1 or 2 balls up, and people will survive, and you can res and then go into the next fight. But every time those balls blow up, you do get a stack of damage down that decreases your damage done by 10%.
Yeah. It lasts 45 seconds or something like that.
Yeah. So if you do get that damage down stack, it's not the end of the world. You can still be pushing forward. It's better to just keep going instead of waiting for it to drop off, though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's only 10%. So 10% is going to be a lot better. Doing 10% less damage for 45 seconds is going to be better than waiting that whole 45 seconds, doing 0 damage.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. So after that one, what's the difficulty on that second boss in comparison to the first one? Like, if you had to rank these bosses right now, first is this difficult, second is like in order.
Okay, so the first guy. Well, let's just go down the list. The hardest one is probably the last one, Vortexer.
Okay.
Close second would be Blaster, the first guy. Third would be Swindler, and then fourth is that second guy. He's got those 4 mechanics. That's it, and then you do orbs. Then you do the ads from A3. So
I didn't think that Swindler was that difficult.
You once you go see the whole thing, you'll know why.
Okay.
The sniper. Everyone trivializes the sniper phase, like it's like no big deal, but you have to meet those DPS checks and then immediately get back for height numeration. So it takes a couple attempts. Right? It's definitely harder than Brawler, and it's instant wipe too. So it's not like, oh, we had lost a couple people, but we can still see some mechanics. You're dead, and now you're just that's it. The fight's over. So
All right.
I definitely agree with what Blana said there for ranking the bosses.
Real quick, we got a couple questions here. One from Jim Link. He said, "Is it a good idea during progression to sacrifice someone to double beam during the orb phase?"
That probably means you're not lining up your large orb timings correctly, because you have to be able to handle the orb going off and then possibly getting that double buster.
So you would say probably no on that, so you get your timing.
I mean, it's an option though. If you really need to save your raid, that'd be a way to do it. You really don't want to get weakness in this fight though, because you need that damage to meet the enrage. But if you can still meet the enrage timer with that weakness going on. Well, no, it's actually really, really bad because Swindler's bioarithmetics is going to hit really hard, and if you have weakness during that and you're not over geared for the content, you might not survive. Like that was the one time when we were doing progression, we would actually wait for weakness, was moving from the second boss to the third, just because of bioarithmetics. We just toast them, no chance.
Okay. And the last question was Frey, of course, was asking if you're in a robe, and yes. Yes, you are.
Yes, yes, I'm wearing a nice little bathrobe.
Yeah.
Frosty called me at like 9 o'clock this morning. He's like, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" I'm like, "Oh,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, fuck it.
All
I'll
right,
roll out of bed."
let's
I'm
do
just
it.
getting over the flu, so I learned some laziness time.
Yeah, it's good, man. All right, so starting on this next boss, again, you guys rush straight into it. You don't even think about it. Um, what should they? The first mechanic. Let's just go into the first mechanic when you're running
Okay,
into this.
so we run in. Um, we pull him. He comes in. I think he hits the tank with a damage down or a debuff first.
Mm-hmm.
Just typical, swap vulnerability mechanic. Um, Nothing's happening for a while here, but here we go. This is it right here.
That's
I
the
don't know if this is
thing.
a good shot. This is the first one that comes out. Is okay. So the floor is like a checkerboard,
Mm-hmm.
and half of them are going to be high and half of them are going to be low. The glowing ones are the ones that go high. At the same time as this happens, you're going to get a debuff that's going to say you're either vulnerable to being high or vulnerable to being low. The red one means that if you're low, you're going to get hit, you're going to blow up. There's the image, you can't really see it because it's at the top of the screen, but the debuff
Yeah.
image is like a staircase step, and there's a little explosion on either the low step or the high step. And if you're on where the explosion is, you're going to blow up and you're going to hurt everybody. So it's also that has a blue or a red and a purple background. Purple means you need to go low. Red means you need to go high.
Right. And how I associate is, yeah, exactly like you said. Wherever the explosion is, I go to the opposite of the explosion. I just say, "There's a bomb up there. I need to go down."
Or you just make an ACT trigger that says you suffer the effect of high or
Hi.
low arithmetics, and then you make it play a soundbite of saying where you need to go. So
Yeah.
mine just says low or high.
Yeah. Very
Uh,
simple. Not cutesy.
but
JP
yeah,
sounds.
there are some really cute ones out there that I've heard.
Yeah.
But that's also a nice trigger to have because you're gonna be doing this. All four of these bosses are gonna be fighting in an A8.
Right.
So
So.
learn this fight really well. Study up because it's happening all over again later. But at the
Mhm.
same time as this height mechanic is going out, there's also enumeration. And
Mhm.
Ark, do you want to talk about enumeration?
Sure, I can. Yeah. So enumeration on Swindler always targets a healer and a tank. Basically, it's the circles that you see on the screen right now. It always spawns with 2 orbs, 3 orbs, or 4 orbs. You might have seen it in normal mode because it looks exactly the same in normal mode. So the best way to deal with this is that you generally want to have people kind of close to a line of these because it lines up with height. You generally want people close so that you can still do height and enumeration and have people go in. For us, the healer one, we always have both healers standing in it because it's always at least 2. And then we have some priority order with our other 2 ranged to do the ranged one. And then the tank one that's spawning at tanks, we just have both tanks always standing in it. And then we have priority order for like, if it's, for us, if it's 3, then the ninja goes into it. If it's 4, then the monk and the ninja goes into it. And if you fail to do that, then all those people die that are inside of it. So pretty much, yeah, the main thing about it is just like that's how the mechanic works, and you have to make sure that you're standing in a place so that people can still do height. So like in the middle of the squares is often good, or just on the edge of a square is good as well.
So.
Like,
At this point, also, how are you guys separating groups? Did we go into that? How you're separating groups?
yeah, yeah,
We
that's
have
what I was just,
all the people who are ranged kind of
Mhm.
step back, and then all the tanks and the melee are going to handle the one on
yep, the
them,
tank.
stay near the boss. So pretty much what I do, I'm fourth baseman. So
I
if it's
see.
4, then I go in, but if it's not, I just go backwards.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep.
And
That's a good
so
way
if
to
you're
think about it.
3, you just look and say, "Hey, is it not 2?"
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
not 2, you go in.
Right.
If you're
And we
running a
also,
black mage, you should definitely keep your black mage as like the last person to have to run in, obviously, to not
well, I
make
mean, the
force
other option is to have your black mage as your number
be
2.
the other healer. Yeah, that's not a
Yeah.
bad idea too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets a little complicated though because if you have
If you
both
have
healers,
more-
then
yeah.
it's always going to be one of the healers that has
Right.
the
Yep.
one on
Then
there.
one of the
So.
healers has to. Yeah. So that's kind of why you want to have both tanks and both healers always in it together. It just makes
Mhm.
it less thinking required. But some people don't mind that kind of stuff, anyways, if they're trying to push DPS. So
Yep.
whatever you prefer. There's a lot of ways to do it, but yeah, always targets a healer and a tank.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what do we got next? Oh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
No.
Still got a little bit of a cough, so I muted myself, so you don't have to
Good, good.
hear me blowing out.
Just and sorry. I don't know if there's. I don't think you have any height error in here, but just so you guys know, on Savage Might, in Savage Mode, height error does like about, was it like 10k damage? No, it's like 3k
No.
raid damage, or how much is it?
It's about 10. It's about 9k to the raid, and
9k to
I
the
think
raid,
it
right?
does 999,000 to
Yeah,
yourself, and
that's
it
what it
does
is. Yeah, yeah.
9900 to everybody else.
So yeah, if anyone makes a mistake with height, the entire raid will take like 9k damage, and it's recoverable for the most part. I've had like 2 height errors in a kill before, so it's just how stressed you don't want to really stress out your healers, but they can cover it. But
It's a good way to pad your meters because the damage you deal when you blow
well,
up, you deal to yourself, so it
I
shows
mean,
up on the meters as
FF
Oh,
logs
really? Is that
smart.
why? That makes so much
Oh,
more sense now. Because like we'd run it
oh,
and
on ACT, yeah, but
yeah,
FF
yeah,
logs definitely removed
yeah.
friendly
FF
fire.
Logs removes it, but like we wiped on this the first time, and when we wiped on it, like Kerr had like 5,000 DPS. I was like,
yeah.
all right, that makes sense to me. So now it makes sense. It's because it's counting the damage going to yourself. All
That's
right.
right. You hit yourself with it. It's weird how they did the execution mechanics in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
the auto clean, what's that called? Final sentence is also
Yeah.
friendly fire on A6S. Yeah.
Huh.
It's also is in here as well. The enrage in here is the same
Oh yeah,
mechanic.
that's the same mechanic. Yeah, you're right. Auto clean. Yep.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. So that goes out. It goes off. Height ends, and you can go back into going wherever. So you're not like permanently locked in on where you get the debuff to. You just need once that debuff's gone, you can go wherever. So after that, the enumeration resolves. He's going to cast bioarithmetics,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, bio A. Um, he's going to cast. It's a lot of damage on the raid. You're going to want to sucker. You're going to want to mitigate it. He's going to start chain casting that later, so get used to it. But after he does that, it transitions into the ad phase. Now, this is where there's kind of like 2 different ways to really deal with this. You'll notice he actually has a buff on him. That's I can't remember the name of it, but it basically buffs but the number of allies nearby him. He gains increased magic damage dealt sent out from him. He does more damage and he takes less damage. So what would be the more allies that he has around, the better off he is. So what's he gonna do? He's gonna summon like a whole bunch of ads right here.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2 ways you can either handle this is you either just pull them all together and blow them up. So the ads that come out is it's basically all the types of ads from A2. You get a Gobwalker, you get a Hard Helm, and you get a Hard Mind.
Oh, God,
Hard,
Widow, thank goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
no Gob Widow.
Yeah.
That would have been hilarious. And you get a whole bunch of soldiers. The soldiers blow up after a certain amount of time. That's all they do. If you leave them up too long, they kamikaze and you wipe. With the Hard Helm and the Hard Mine, I think they're called something else here, but I can't get a clean shot because my video sucks.
Oh, yeah.
They're basically what they're going to do is they're going to cast a spell that decreases increases the resistance of all their allies. And one of them does magic, one of them does physical. So you just want to stun those 2 guys. And then the Gobwalker, I'm not sure what he does because I've always just blown the crap out of him.
Magic vulnerability. He's just exactly the same from A2S. Whatever target's on, he's gonna give them vulnerability slowly and keep giving them stacks, so they take more damage. Yeah.
Okay, so our plan, we have our all the ads are going to aggro onto whoever has aggro on the boss at that point, and they don't have an aggro table, so they'll never switch off of him, which means you can hit him as hard as you can, as fast as you can. So how we handle it is the ads come out, we do a tank swap. The old off tank takes the boss and runs towards the way we came in, and then the paladin comes and picks all these up. And as he's doing that, he just comes up. He does stun, and then I hit it with Enkindle and a whole bunch of nonsense.
And this
When you
is
say-
this is the right way to do it, really. I mean, if you're not going to like try to cheese it with
Right.
Hollow
The other
Ground
way
and
to
Low
do
Break.
it. The other way to do it is you have your tank pop their invulnerability, either like Home Gang or Last Stand or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the Living Dead.
Living
Ground,
Dead,
Living
Living Dead.
Dead.
Or Hollow Ground. Yeah.
Right.
Home Gang is pretty sketchy if you want to do that. It's very
Ideally,
sketchy.
ideally you have either Dark Knight or your Paladin do it, and you just pick everything up right there, and you LB2 right on top of it. You hit the boss, and you hit all the ads, and it's gonna hit the boss for maximum damage, just because that's how Limit Break works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it just LB2 will just clean them off the face. They're just gone, and that mechanic's handled.
Just to clarify too, those ads share the aggro table of the boss. So if you do like a provoke right as they spawn, they're going to go to the original tank that had Swindler, and then the other tank can move away. So you don't have to worry about aggro as a tank on those ads. They'll just go to whatever tank had aggro when they spawned.
That's right.
Right.
So, yeah. So so that's kind of something like they don't expect you to pick up all those ads basically because they'd be going all over the place. Right?
Which is
They'd be
exactly why your main tank is running off to the other side because he has all the ads and.
I believe the tank swap occurred, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
main,
that's
the main
why it's
tank
happening.
had the boss originally is taking the ads, and the other tank took off with the boss because he provoked after they spawned.
Yeah. And so this is the way that you should be doing it if you're going to do it without Limit Breaker. anything else here. So
Right,
Alright.
because if the boss is around them, then they get the buff as well. They're going to be taking less damage and dealing more magic damage.
hmm
So that's why you need to pull them apart. You got to keep them separated.
Okay. Well, cool. So going on.
They just
Going
well,
on?
yeah, sorry. We'll see when my video comes up, but I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
just get damage up is the what the ads get.
Oh, is it? Oh, we've always just pulled them apart, so I
So
never
yeah,
really
well you
noticed.
can see because we have them on top of Swindler and we just burn everything down. I don't know if Swindler was taking less damage or not, but the ads just get crushed still. So
Mhm.
Okay. So coming out of that, it's going to be another height,
hmm
and then enumeration, but without height.
So it's a
So I
little
get
bit
4
easier
here.
here.
So yeah. So
There's
we
a
just have
4
a tank and a
and a
healer
2.
call it out. So we have a
So
four,
real quick, let's take a pause here if you don't mind.
uh-huh.
We had a question that's kind of relevant to this. Teddy was asking if you can actually overlap the circles.
No.
So you can't have, like, if it was both of them or 4, you can't just have the healers and tanks all stacked together?
Right. We actually never tested this in A6, but we accidentally did it the other night in A8 because we were going through the second transition where enumeration comes out again, and we didn't have enough people up, so we're like, oh, we'll just stack them together, and we had one person stand in between the two, and it just killed everybody. So we never risked it testing it here, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't fly because that's how you handled a similar mechanic like this back in
T7.
in T7. That's right.
T8
Or
right?
T8.
T8, sorry, yeah.
The numbers are
Turns.
off in there because good old turn 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I'm 90% sure you cannot overlap them.
Okay. 99.
Yeah.
99.
I've never tested it. I've never seen it tried myself in these, but I don't think it would work out well for you.
All right. So going on, we had the height happens, and then we have the same
The
thing with
enumeration
circles.
happens again, right? But this enumeration is without height, so it's a little bit easier. It's just moving around. So we get another arithmetics or whatever,
Yeah.
and then 4 gunners are going to spawn around the room. There's going to be
pretty
one
good shot.
north, south, east, and west.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to lock onto one person and just shoot them. And every time they shoot, they get a damage up buff. So they're going to be doing more damage with every shot. Around 3, they just start one-shotting people. 2, it gets scary.
How
so,
fast do they shoot?
not very
Something
fast. You've
between
got to
3 to 5 seconds, something like that,
Yeah, you've
right?
got
Around
about 15 seconds to kill them.
before they
Or
can
4.
start one-shotting people, basically.
Right. Yeah. It's also gonna be tricky for some melee might need to call for help because the shooter can target a melee, and then they won't be able to get their positionals off because it'll be following them around. So they can call for help from a healer there typically. We just have our range take the one in the back, and then the melees take the ones on the sides, and the tanks and the healers focus the one underneath the boss.
Okay.
So that's all that's happening here.
It's just a
I-
DPS check, really.
Yeah,
Right.
like if you
And
if you
they're all
pop-
attacking all of them at the same time. It's not like an order. You kill this one, then go to this one, go to this one.
That's
everybody-
right.
Okay.
Anyway,
Oh, a
So-
height
so-
does come out like near the end of that. So you just need to move to the right square.
if you mind pausing it, we can kind of talk about it a little bit. Like, notice how the boss is standing on top of one of the snipers, right? That's basically the tanks are killing that one,
That's
and the ranger potentially helping him. But so I'll explain how we do in our group, and then you can kind of cover what's happening here because it looks similar. But we have our tanks and our healers do the one that's underneath Swindler, and we try to kill that. That's like 4 people trying to kill it, right?
Right.
Well, or at least whatever healers can do while still keeping people close to full health from the snipes. That one we want to kill very quickly because it's underneath Swindler, so it's buffing Swindler, and the ad's also getting buffed as well, right? So you want to kill that one as fast as you can. Then we have 1 melee on each ad, and with some help from ranged, and then we have both ranged kind of fixate on the one that's furthest away from Swindler. So
Yep,
each
that's what
melee
we
go
do
to
as
basically try to solo one, get like maybe a dot from a ranged or 2, whatever they need help with, and and then as soon as so that's kind of how we split that up, and it's a little bit of a DPS check depending on your gear. So
All right. So I moved my mic around again. Apparently, it's exploding a lot. So I'm gonna hopefully. Maybe I'll just take this off and I'll get really close to the mic, and then we can just have a conversation like this.
Oh my, going to get
Yeah, very
intimate with
good.
Frosty.
Yeah. So we have another question here. Can you skip the gunners with enough DPS? Can you push that
yeah.
phase?
Yep, definitely, 100%.
Okay.
It's been done. I would not. It's depending on your gear and your group. It's not something that's a safe strategy to kind of implement because if anything goes wrong, like you have a death or someone screws up their cooldowns or whatever, or even potentially you're pushing so fast on the other phases that your cooldowns don't line up well on Swindler, and you might have to wait to do that. It's not necessarily the safest strategy to do, but if you can consistently do it, you think you can, you set something up for it, you absolutely 100% can skip those snipers. I've heard of it.
Okay, excellent. So, but that's not something you should aim for in your first clear. You should probably
early
prepare
progression
to deal with it. Yeah.
I would not ever. In fact, I don't really like that strategy at all. And until you're just absolutely crushing Swindler, like before the sniper, like 5 seconds after the sniper spawn, you kill him.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And that's like on a bad attempt.
Right, and that's a good point that everyone's going to have 230 weapons next week.
Mm-hmm.
So DPS is going to be up by like a good chunk, like 5% maybe.
Yeah, again, like I said, this fight, it's hard to manage cooldowns without waiting between pulls. So sometimes the bosses will die slower, even though you're further ahead on the enrage.
Right, yeah.
Enrage, right? So, like, what are you sacrificing to do that? Like, if we waited a little bit on Swindler and used that extra time that we have that's further away from the enrage to just really destroy Swindler, we probably could do that consistently. But then you're maybe potentially adding another 30 seconds or 40 seconds on your kill time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and the groups that are also pushing past this phase are also the ones that are typically LBing that AoE pack there.
Yeah.
So you're getting extra damage onto the boss there that you typically
Right.
weren't if you were saving LB for the last boss.
yeah.
Okay. So, is that all? That's on this fight? There's not really anything else?
That's pretty much it. It's
This part right after the snipers is enumeration height.
it's numerated
So-
height again, which we already went over. So you basically
we
do the
went
same
over
thing.
I like
It's just
that,
like,
by
Don't
the
forget
way.
to
that-
check your hunting log real
Yeah,
quick. just to
I
make
saw
sure
that
you're
in the video.
Yeah. The only thing about this is just basically if you're a little bit slow in snipers, you got to make sure you're back in position for this kind of mechanic, especially melee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You might need your range to help finish them off if you're a little bit slow for whatever reason.
So then after that one, he just starts chain casting bioarithmetics. You can virus near the end of the cast of one and catch the second one with it as well.
Huh.
And you can skip it also too.
Or you can just kill it and skip it.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound that difficult after dealing with Sephiroth and his explosions. Like, whatever.
So right into it again, we're going into Vortexer here. We're going to pull him a little bit off towards the side to help deal with the first mechanic.
Okay.
So the first one that comes out is going to be fire markers are going to go out on everybody on four targets, and then 4 puddles are also going to spawn around random people. So to do this, we just bait all the puddles into a corner here. So all right, but first Elemental Jammer comes out. Elemental Jammer, this is the jam of the fight. This is the whole thing. It's going to put 2 debuffs out. There's going to be a yellow one with a lightning bolt. There's going to be a blue one with a drop of water. We call it thunder or lightning and water. Thunder, you need 2 people to soak. And no, if anybody else gets hit by it, it does more damage than the number of people that are in it. And 3 people is going to typically kill you. Water works the other way. The more people you have soaking it, the less damage you're going to take. And it used to also be that if you had your tanks or some people in there, some screwy stuff would happen and it would blow up. So we have a weird kind of strange strategy for it because it worked for us that first week and we didn't run into bugs with it. So when the countdown ends on the debuff, that's when it's going to go off. With the thunder, it's going to blow up and just go onto somebody else. On the person it was, it leaves a debuff behind that increases the amount of thunder damage they take. For the water one, it's going to blow up, leave a giant swirling vortex, and leave a debuff on the person who had it that increases the amount of water damage they take. And then also that debuff will also jump to somebody new. So how we did it is we have our Thunder Buddy method, where you see the sound of thunder, and you just grab your Thunder Buddy, which is basically for us, because it's always going to go out on your DPS first. It's going to go out onto a ranged and a melee. So you just have their Thunder Buddy. Either the other ranged or the other melee is going to be the one soaking thunder with that person. That's just how we do it. The other ways to do it are you have your tank stay in there if it's a melee, and you just have it go off on the tank, and have everybody else get out. For our water, we actually have a C marker down off in the corner. It's further away than it needs to be, but we kind of eyeball it. Like while we're running in, we just like drop it in. So also after, this is why we are all stacked up there, is because the Elemental Jammer comes out, and then you get 4 red marks over random players, and those 4 red marks are going to shoot a fire blast at him. And right after the markers come out, he drops 4 puddles on the ground. They're not correlated to where the markers. It could be random players. It could be anybody else in the raid, even the ones that don't have the markers. So we all stack together to bait that into a single location there. And then once the indicator goes away, everybody spreads out. We we never really like assign positions, but you end up finding what works for you and your raid. I always just go straight back, and everybody else spreads out because if you get hit by two of those, you're probably going to die. If you
Okay.
overlap the red markers and he shoots two beams at you, it's probably going to kill you. But so after you handle that, then you need to go. You have about 8 seconds left on your thunder and your water when that resolves. So we have a B point set up for thunder to go to and a C point set up for water to run off to.
All right.
So you can see we move away from the fire. We go to our places. We have the healers and and the other person's thunder buddy head over to C for that. We have the thunder and their actual thunder buddy go to B here. So that goes off. It explodes. I had thunder. I get the debuff, which means I cannot be part of the thunder anymore. And then that tornado spawns. After the tornado spawns, you get these things. They're Shiva circles, basically. They're Shiva circles with one exception. That once they go down, you can see them right there. There's two people. Once they go down, they're going to land in a circle, and then they're going to expand after a few moments. What you need to do is you need to drop this onto the vortex so it'll freeze it. But there's a kink in the plan. You think, oh, we'll just run right into it, right? The vortex will cast an ability called Drainage on the closest person who gets there. It's the tether from A3, but it goes off instantly. So if you get close to it, you blow up, you do a knockback on everybody and damage on everybody nearby you, and it knocks you sends you flying back. So if you get too close to the ice, you're going to get hit and flung back from it, and then your ice isn't going to land near it. And then if you don't freeze the tornado, then it's going to explode.
Okay.
Basically. And you also need to freeze the tornado for the last mechanic in the fight, where he just does an AoE and you need to line of sight it. It's in normal as well. So it takes a bit of experimentation to learn like exactly how far you can be from the tornado, but once you get it down, it's pretty simple. You get it as close as you can without getting hit by the drainage, and then the ice goes down and then it expands, and when it expands, it's large enough to hit it. Like the ice circle itself, right here, the effect that you see out on the player isn't going to be large enough. It's going to be too small for you to get close enough to the tornado without getting hit by drainage and getting flung away.
Okay.
So there's like a tiny little like space you need between where the edge of the Shiva circle is and the tornado, and then because it expands, it's going to hit the tornado and freeze it.
Right. Okay. So basically, the difference in here with normal is that normal you're just it's a blue circle, it just sits there. Here you can kind of plan it out, say, hey, we're going to make this expand and actually eventually hit the tornado.
Right, because you
get
can't
close to it.
right, you can't get close enough to hit it with the initial size until it expands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So we go out, we drop that, it hits the ground, it takes a few seconds here, and then it expands, and then it freezes that. So we have an ice block over there. So, moving on to this next part, at this point we have 5 seconds left on the debuff, because after it went off before, where the thunder and the water went off before, it jumps to another player. So what we do is the person who has the water down debuff, they can't be part of the water stack mechanic anymore. So they go over and help soak thunder. The person who had thunder before can't go back and helping them, so they come over to the water stack.
Okay.
So
That sounds like it can get kind of complicated after a while.
Just plan it out ahead of time with your group.
Yeah.
It's not something that you need to go into Vortex or to see, and you get very few attempts on it when you're doing early progression. Just plan out the debuffs ahead of time. It's not too bad because lightning resistance always goes to water, and water resistance always does lightning once you have those debuffs. So it's kind of an easy way to think about it, right? And you can kind of just draw it out. Everyone just has to remember, it's like, what debuff do I have? Do I have none? Then I just go to the place I went before. Do I have a debuff? Then I just go to a place because I have this debuff.
Right, the only really pass you need to make a conscious decision about, like beforehand, is the original pass, because it's arbitrary who gets the second one.
Yep.
For the other ones, it's basically decided by the debuffs the players have.
Okay. Well, all right. So it just works out no matter what. You just have to.
Yeah, and just to be
reassign yourself.
clear, it always targets one ranged or one melee DPS, and it's not ever always the same debuff, but one compressed lightning will target one of those, either a ranged or a melee, and then whichever one that one targets, the compressed water will be on the other set. So it's
That's
random
right.
between those two categories of people. So, yeah.
Okay.
So then we have, after the Shiva circles are resolved, we have those debuffs again. We have Thunder go kind of closer to B, and we have the other one just go basically straight south from it. Because this next one's going to drop a tornado, but you're not going to get Shiva circles again. Instead of getting Shiva circles, you're going to get the fire one again. And remember that fire beam that he shot towards the 4 marked people? You need to use that to disintegrate the tornado. If you hit the ice one with the fire, it's going to melt it, and you're not going to have anywhere to hide later. So you need to spread out so you're not overlapping the shots, but you need to shoot the new vortex that's coming out and not shoot the old one.
Okay.
So the 4 marks are going to come out on 2 random DPS, a healer, and a tank, I think is how it works out. So we come back in, we stack up for these circles again, and there's the marks that come out.
Mm-hmm.
We spread out, we drop that there so it's stacked, and we have our healers shoot the other tornado, which is actually off camera right there, but they got it.
Okay.
It's gone, and yeah, so
It's out of here.
But notice, this is 8 minutes into the fight. You missed that shot, it's a wipe.
100%.
See, I
So-
mean,
Or
what's
if
the
you
difference
shoot
of
the
having the
ice.
first boss and this boss at the very beginning? Like, you're still dealing with that, like, easy death stuff, right?
The difference is that the blaster has all the RNG to it, right? This doesn't really have that much RNG.
Yeah, this one's more like on the head.
That's
of the
why I keep
people.
saying RNG is a great mechanic because it forces you to really have good knowledge of the fight and a lot of situational awareness and stuff like that. But RNG is RNG, and you can get really it makes sometimes it's blasters very, very difficult. That's why it's good to have it early in the fight because you rather get screwed over early in the fight than later in the fight.
Okay. I'll accept it. I'll accept it, guys. All right. And so, how many more mechanics do we have? Are we even, like, halfway through the mechanics on
We're
this
almost done with this
one?
fight.
Okay.
So after that, after you shoot that tornado, if you don't shoot it, it explodes and you all die. If you shoot the ice, you're not gonna have cover later and you all die. And if people get hit by 2 beams, they're gonna die. So you need to spread out the beams, shoot the ice, shoot the water, but not shoot the ice.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, he's gonna do Super Cyclone, which actually just happened here. So I'll roll it back a little bit.
Okay.
Super Cyclone is just gonna be a knockback, but after Super Cyclone, you need to pass the debuffs again. So what we do is we have the person with thunder and the person with the thunder debuff, the one that's going to explode, and the person with the water down debuff go to the south of the boss. We have everybody else go north. The people getting north of the boss are getting thrown into the wall pretty close by. The other 2 are getting standing close enough together that they're getting shoved out. Thunder's going to go off and then they're going to be fine. We get pushed off to the people who are soaking water are getting pushed into the wall here, and we have more time to like stack up, do the water mechanic, and then we head back towards the boss because he starts casting Super Flash, which you need to line of sight using this ice.
Let's take a pause real quick.
Yep.
I gotta let you know we have Dwight from the office in the chat down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said, Foss, with the gear we have available now, 2 beams, you can 100% survive.
Oh, yep, probably.
Yeah. But, so, let's just say this. If you stack up, it's a failed mechanic, and it will likely wipe you guys. It's not that it will. It's just that it's going to make it a lot harder and more difficult.
Yeah,
It's better to spread them out.
Where both fire beams are lined up, about 5 seconds later the debuffs are going off. So you're basically saying that like our healers are very good, and they will give us enough HP before those debuffs happen to cover the fact that we made an error with fire beam.
I want to go ahead and ask Heavily Armed and Wackabucky, Farana in there. Do you guys actually just say, all right, well, we'll survive, so we're going to stack 2 people on top of each other? Because they're going to survive, right? So don't spread out. I'm just curious if that's what you guys are doing in your strategy, and that's the point you're trying to make. I don't know what other point that is going to go in there. I mean, you could probably live if you had the right Sikors, if you had a spread ad low, if you had
You
the
could
right
live when
gear.
you're doing it with 220 gear too. Again, it's just the main issue is that
Yeah.
you're basically just forcing your healers to work extremely hard and blow a bunch of cooldowns so you don't die from whatever debuff is occurring afterwards.
Yeah, my mindset is coming from first week where we had 210 gear. So
Yeah, and even 210 gear, you probably could die just from the fire beam damage. I'm not sure, because in 220 gear, we live with a little bit of HP when I got hit by it. And so, but then again, when the debuffs happened, we didn't have enough HP to do it. So
yeah, you can probably live now.
Okay. So in the end, guys, the point we're trying to make is to spread out for that because it's a very deadly hit, and it's not something that you would want to get.
yeah, as long as your healers cover for the error, it's just make sure that your strategy doesn't allow for it to occur in the first place.
I guess.
Some people make mistakes. That it would be considered an error when it happens.
Right.
So don't freak out and hope, again, like I said, hopefully your healers cover the mistake.
Yeah, and hopefully you guys you're prepped for it. You guys are already ahead and ready to go. And if it happens, good, you still live. But don't just say, oh well, we're not going to worry about that mechanic. We're just going to say whatever, you get hit, it's okay. It's the healer's fault if I die after this point. Which is another thing I want to talk about real quick for a tangent. If you guys screw up mechanics and you take a lot of damage, and you're like, well, I wasn't topped off on that other mechanic. Well, that's because you took hits earlier on. Guys, you're still working together to get the fight clear. Most of your scholars probably aren't even healing anyways at this point, because you guys are all trained from last tier that you scholars don't heal, they just DPS, right? And they just throw succors up every once in a while. But the point is, try to make sure that you guys avoid getting into these situations so you can clear these mechanics. If you're progressing, it makes absolutely no sense. It is a failure, and it will likely kill you guys if you guys are progressing, and your healers are still trying to learn to fight and everything else.
Actually, just to be something, I know we're just about to see ultra fast, and it wipes the entire phase. So we're pretty much at the end of this, but just a couple of things about these failure mechanics. If the target with compressed lightning or water ever dies, it instantly wipes the group, like 100%, no recovery. So one cool thing about Bellana's strategy is the tanks are never involved with the debuffs. So the people who are getting hit by these debuffs are they pretty have full control over whether or not they're going to die, as long as their healers are like doing like the minimal amount of healing on the fight, which wouldn't be considered that bad as long as they're doing the execution correctly. So when you have these on the tanks, and they're constantly getting, like, the boss is constantly trying to kill the tanks, right? So this is one pro of doing it without tanks, is that because tanks can die, and normally it's not like, if a tank died on this fight for Bellana, it wouldn't be a wipe. No way would that be a wipe.
Mm-hmm.
Could easily recover from that. But if the tank dies who has one of the compressed lightning debuffs, if you're doing it that way, instant wipe.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind with how those debuffs work, and when you're building your strategy, depending on, because the tanks do get hit pretty hard once they get to 2 stacks. So.
Okay. All right.
But
good.
that's just how those mechanics work for when they if you ever have someone die with them. So make sure those people with those debuffs are very healthy.
All right. Sorry, I just want to go into that, just make sure, because they seem kind of upset that you were saying that they were going to die.
Okay. So if 2 people get hit, it's not white, but it's suboptimal. It's more stress on your healers, and we always like to keep our healers happy because they keep us alive. So
Right. Okay. So let's go on. Sorry.
So going on, you need to line of sight Ultra Flash using the ice, and that's the fight. If you've gotten here, congratulations, you've seen everything.
Okay. And so you guys just repeat the mechanics. You save your limit break for this.
If we have it before the poll, sometimes we have it walking into the fight. We just do it right away. If not, we save it for right here because it's when nothing's happening. So same things happen. Elemental Jammer goes out. Fire happens. Debuffs go out. We bait the puddles in one place. We pass the debuff. Shiva circles go out.
So the fight is 100% repeating now. Just one thing that we didn't point out is the slashing debuff. It's just like it looks the same way as normal mode. Tanks. I mean, it depends how your tanks set it up, but don't go past 2 stacks. In fact, try not to get hit very much when you're at 2 stacks slashing down. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's just something we didn't point out, is that there is a tank swap constantly happening here. There's a lot of ways to do it, so just keep it in mind.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty straightforward. Let's just see it through. I want to see that this thing die.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've been on this fight for an hour and a half. I want to see the guy die. And just knock it out.
Yep.
And so this is good, because this is like the mechanic rotation is like what, every 30 seconds on this guy?
His whole phase lasts. How long is the debuff when it comes out? It's like 20 seconds when it comes out, and you get 1, 2 and a half of them. So it's about a minute between each cycle.
Okay. So that's not too bad. We do have another question here that we can go into. I'm going to pause it real quick. From Exelon. Enrage is at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. With how much time is left, do you really need going into this boss to make sure that you clear it?
During Prague, I think our first kill, we had a little over 3 minutes going into it, but we were also not limit breaking the 3rd boss, so we had LB3 for this guy. Nowadays, we have other teams are getting 4 minutes. Nowadays, we get 4.5 to close to 5 sometimes.
Mm-hmm. If you LB Swindler, you want to have about 3 minutes and 30 seconds in early progression, assuming that your DPS is average. not like extremely top tier, amazing, because you don't need that to kill the fight. So yeah, about 3 minutes and a half on Swindler if you're limit breaking on Swindler, and about sorry, I take that back. I meant about 3 minutes or so if you're limit breaking on Swindler, and about 3 minutes and a half. Did I get that backwards? No, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. If you're not limit breaking Swindler, you want about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. You want about
If you're
three
not, that's
minutes.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. If you don't limit breaking Swindler, you want about 3 minutes on Vortexer because you're limit breaking him. If you are limit breaking Swindler, then you should have about 3 minutes and a half on Vortexer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you guys have raid coming up soon. So I
I'm
don't
fine
know.
to do. I can go to like seven. No, I don't have raid in for an hour and 15 minutes. So
Okay.
I can go over our video real quick and just kind of maybe cover a few things that we might have kind of just missed a little bit.
Yeah.
Or even just kind of talk about the difference in strategy. So
Do we want to just play through it, shoot from the hip like we did before?
Yeah. You
yeah, I
can.
might pause it here and there though.
You can
Okay,
skip
yeah.
around it too if you want to say, all right, well, this is exactly the same as the
Yeah,
this
I
part
kind of
of the
was
fight.
noting some stuff like Brawler. I don't really have much to show on Brawler. It's just I might just run right through Brawler and point out things that might be different. But Brawler was pretty much the same. Blaster, yeah, we'll just yeah let's see where's
Yep.
Let's jump over to your video and you can steer this time.
You steer. You got it. Don't jump back and forth too much though.
Control which video plays. So I see. Never mind, I got it.
You got it. You can do it.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. So the first two bosses are pretty much the same, right?
We do the blaster a little bit differently because we put the Mirage straight to the wall. So like as you can see, we have it right right in the middle. We have the group kind of all as close together as we can, for the most part. If anyone's not close to the boss, they're kind of doing their own thing. Yeah, see, or someone got close at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the mine pattern. Try and give us as much space as we can. Sorry, I'm pausing it just a little bit.
That was a useless pause. All right.
What I'm trying to show here is how quickly our tank does the mines. So he's done the mines at this point. He also pops Sheltron for the next attack that's about to occur.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that's his health after shielding and everything. So I think he gets some healing here or there, but he didn't really need it.
I usually throw
And then at this point,
a lot of
he
stuff on him.
moved as close as he could to that wall, which is more than enough because where everyone's standing is pretty much right on top of the boss, right? So then we know I don't even look at the mirages anymore. I just blindly move towards the middle of the room because it only covers like I'd say a quarter of the room now.
Okay. So your tank's already in that position almost every single time on that half the room.
Well, as much as he's gotten really good at it. Yeah, so it's pretty consistent. It's not too bad as long as you hit those mines very quickly. Yeah, nothing really new here.
Yeah, and I guess it's really cool to see that how clean your mirages are, that you could just run halfway through. But a lot of people
We
get
just
trapped
at
by
this
those
point,
mines.
I 100% don't even look at mirages. Just run right to the middle, and if anything goes wrong, someone made an error. So there's the silence of mine blast. Again, we keep it in the middle. At this point, Bolano moved it to the wall just because, like, you see right there, right? That's
Yeah, right there, straight line to the door. Yeah.
So
But I mean, he could have moved left or right.
That's absolutely not a big deal. That's not absolutely a big deal. Very easy for our pally to take that. These can be dropped anywhere. You look at what it is. He has his hands up, so I turn away and I can keep DPSing the boss. So I'm super happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing too different after this. We're already close
Okay.
to the gate. We could move to the gate, but we're just kind of waiting for mines to spawn. I think we get mines. Yeah, he just shot them up. So yeah, if we moved to the gate, we could have got there a little bit faster, but not the end of the world.
Okay.
Just a couple seconds.
Yeah, a couple seconds. Yeah.
And now, is there anything different on this boss?
We could just run through it quickly.
Sure.
Just not too much. Just kind of maybe to reinforce some things. You see our warrior has the 4 stacks right now, so he's not tanking the boss because this is all magic damage. As well as if we did get double beam, which we do, our warrior is not going to stand in it, so he won't take damage from this. I think yes.
Would that kill your warrior if he was in there?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
So, yeah, unless he pops like Holmgang or some cooldown, which isn't really a good use of his cooldown there. So there's really no reason for him to take it.
What are those discs, by the way?
The
Like, look at them. They
Beyblades.
like have like teeth, like in the middle. Like I don't know. That's just really goofy.
So there's a single drill hits me, right? I'm right at the wall, so it doesn't really do much damage. Physical as well, so you can pop physical cooldowns and kind of maybe not run as far out as I did if I popped like Shade Shift or Keen Flurry. Let's see if I can get a good position. Yeah. This is the double drill mechanic. So we always have our healer who has the circle on top of their head. The one that's our scholar who's standing really far out. He's going to get hit by the drill, so we're all far away from him. And our monk standing on top of the boss right now, so he can keep his stacks and doesn't have to move it out or lose any GCDs. He gets hit pretty hard, but he doesn't get hit by anything else, so
Okay.
so bad. So there, he gets hit by it there, and he got to keep DPSing.
Excellent.
Yeah, just little things. I don't know. Like these aren't like these are all very minor things. There's a tank buster come out. We have a virus for it because the tank was at one stack there. He's going to use bigger cooldowns in case we got another one, which you can't. Like you said, they're random. You could get like 3 tank busters in a row. So here's the second one. He's probably going to home gang it. We'll see. Yeah, he didn't even need to home gang it too because he only has 2 stacks.
Well, you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
We were playing around with virusing those, but we found it wasn't reliably up for the big balls then.
Yeah, I think we only get one big ball virused.
Yeah, that's why I don't use it on that part at all, because I think, all right, well, if I'm going to virus something, it probably should be one of the big balls.
And we're like, we haven't had too much problem with the big balls because we like have, I know we're using our veil and everything like that, but so if it came up a lot, we would, but it was those big beams sometimes killed our tanks because we don't do the tank swap like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They have less cooldowns to work with. So yeah, this is not too much different. You can see that orb over there is the one getting stunned, so it's getting nice and slowed. We just got to deploy for the first big orb.
And you get the same thing, the blaster right when the orb hits, basically.
Yep. But so we got the mitigation was already happened, so our orb's already hit. I try to duck into center to make sure I get as much stuff while still doing as much damage as I can. Then we sit here and wait.
So as long as one of them has nothing happens to him at all, no slows, no anything, it's going to make it there right before that mechanic happens.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
You don't want to play around with the timing there. You see, like, one's really close, so, get some stuns on it. Just It happens sometimes. A help fortress. Our warrior's always the one who gets the... Actually, the warrior's always the one who gets the single cannon, so we just have a marker on top of his head, just to make it a little more obvious. We're not standing close to. He usually always shoots towards the gate, though.
Okay.
So this is where we kind of, like, have some difference, because we don't limit break, but we also keep all the ads on top of Swindler, so... I'm going to pay a little bit more attention to see if there's any problems with that next time we do it, but outside of the fact that our main tank, because our single target DPS was low on the Gobwalker, that's actually kind of my fault too, because I was trying to do more AoE. Our main tank got 2 stacks of vulnerability. He normally only gets 1. So there's the Bioarithmetics. Normally I bring the Gobwalker down to about 70%. Before all the AoE happens, so their tank's going to do the stuns. Stuns the other one when it comes in for the hard helm and hard mine. Then we just go unleash. Our AoE is a little bit slower here. Normally it's a little bit faster, but it's not too bad. And like, see, he's sitting at 30%. That was kind of my responsibility. I was just busy AoEing though. So our tank's at 2 vulnerability stacks. So yeah, it didn't seem too bad. I don't see any buffs left over on Swindler or anything like that. So it's just kind of what we've been doing. That, of course, our Pally was holding hollow ground there. He was using hollow ground there to not die from all that.
All right. And there was another note here, by the way, at this after the snipers and everything, that when he's actually doing his blast, his AoE, that it only happens twice, and then it rotates back into his normal rotation.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's not like a constant blast.
At the very end, yes. At the very end, he does 2, and then he goes back into his normal rotation. That's correct, yeah. So finish off our snipers. I'm checking height and if I have to be in animation. Oh, by the way, communication's awesome here. Have your tanks call out how many people they need in it, and have your healers call out how many people they need in it. And don't try not to have too many other people speaking unless they absolutely need to in there. But it's good because I don't even look at the orbs. I'm looking at my height. So they just call out a number, and then I know if it's 3 or 4, I'm supposed to be in the melee one.
So if they say anything about bringing somebody in, you go in. You don't even...
Well, they'll say 2 as well, so...
Yeah.
They might say 2, which means I shouldn't be close to it, but I'm listening for 3 and 4.
Okay.
Getting our marks down here. Limit break's not quite up, which is the first time that we've had that happen before because we were moving kind of fast. So I was going to use it. Where did I use this? I think I do use it at the start still. Yeah, I get my dots up. So we keep Vortexer in the middle. We have a tank swap at 1 slashing for the first one. After that, it's every 2. So our Pally has it right now. We stack up. This is very similar to, again, with 1. It's just very similar concept. We do have positions set up ahead of time. And we try not to move the boss as much as possible.
So those are line hits, right? Those aren't like okay.
Yeah. So the countdown's happening. That means that for the thunder, so I move away. We actually use our tanks for it because we got to this point before when the bug wasn't occurring anymore. So that's kind of the strategy we went around with. So our tank takes the first thunder every time, and then it makes it so one melee can always stay on the boss and doesn't have to do any of the mechanics. So that's me in this case.
Okay.
So this is the thunder happening again. See, traded with the tanks in the water. Izu had the water resistance down. That's why she was the one who took it there. This is the fire beams coming up. So we have our tanks burn it. They just run through the boss. So it keeps the boss kind of from moving too much. They burnt the water. This is the knockback that happens. So we have everyone who's doing water gets knocked back to A. Everyone who's doing thunder gets knocked to the ice. So sometimes the boss will be by water and we get some extra DPS, and sometimes it'll be over by thunder, which is actually pretty uncommon for it to occur.
Right.
But it can happen.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's Ultra Flash, and then we repeat. Trying to think of if there's anything else. Again, you can keep an eye on. Like at this point, this is a good place for tanks to sometimes die during this when we do this movement back to the center, because he gets 2 slashing. You saw how hard he got hit there. If he was low for whatever reason or anything, they can sometimes get killed there.
Okay. So I do have a few videos, by the way, after this one. I don't know if you guys wanted to go into those videos at all. I had a couple on Reddit that posted one where they had a whole bunch of wipes around the end of the fight, and I had one where they were almost on Enraged and they had a few deaths throughout the fight. And then we had one posted in the chat. Although I don't know if the one from the chat is actually one where it's really messy or not.
Did we have questions or did we have...
The questions, like we went through them as we were going through the videos.
Okay.
So we pretty much knocked out all the ones that people actually had questions on.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't really like. So both these groups had both had a summoner in them, so we were using Virus for a lot of the mechanics. One thing I didn't point out is that if you have a Black Mage, Apotheostasis is really powerful for a tank cooldown. So like mines are all magic damage, so you can use Apotheostasis to make those a little bit easier, or you can help manage tank cooldowns on some of the single target brawler attacks or even the green orbs that are occurring. So just keep in mind Apotheostasis. There's a lot of times to use it on a main tank to kind of get through those mechanics a little bit easier, maybe even enhance healer DPS.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
if you get a chance to use Limit Break on this one. It's just the way it lined up. I could have if I was really greedy, but I didn't want to screw up the debuffs.
Right. And you didn't want to screw up your parse. All right,
yeah,
so
shouldn't have AoE'd there on that.
Do you want to go through that other video that you posted there, or do you think that we kind of covered the limit break?
It just shows the limit break. I could just... I don't know if anyone had an interest in just showing... Like, we did the exact same thing, except we used limit break.
Okay, that's fine. I'm pretty sure we can see it from another video here.
The timing's pretty much exactly the same. It's just, like, once the ads are grouped up, or even just before they group, you limit break.
You showed the positioning for it, and so instead of doing AoE there, you just limit break.
So it doesn't. So whether or not you're stacking the ads on top of Swindler or doing what Buana's strategy was, where the ads are away from Swindler, so it's nice and safe, and you potentially don't even need a big cooldown for it from the tanks like Hollow Ground or anything. You just replace AoE damage with Limit Break and have everyone else just stick on Swindler and not waste their DPS, except for the Gobwalker and the Hard Helmet. Hard Mine just need a little bit of damage still on them, depending on what kind of eye level your weapons are.
Mm-hmm.
Or limit break damage, but so just make sure you get that single target damage in there for Gobwalker and the hard. Yeah, and they still need those stuns too, even during the limit break.
So I'm gonna go ahead and go to this next video then. I don't know if it's actually a fun video to watch. I'm trusting Lysol here, who put it in here, to kind of go through their video to see what it looks like. Oh, it has a GIF in the bottom of the corner. Don't you love it when there's GIFs in the bottom corner? It's so distracting.
Oh, this is Bluth from our server.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. They're very, very skilled raiders.
Oh, okay. Has 2 deaths. All right. So the point, what we're trying to do is to make fun of people who are dying, and we're trying to like make ourselves feel better about what we do.
Yeah, I could have showed you what this week's kill, but again, my group would hate me so much because it was really bad.
All right, so they're dropping on the edge, but they're having everybody kind of stand towards the middle. That's it's a pretty good way to bait them.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many ways to do it. It's just the concept is take as little space up and make them consistent, right?
Right. And so, man, there's Nothing to say during this part, though. This is straightforward. It's just blast the hell out of
Yeah,
everything.
you blow. They do a little bit of AoE damage. There you go. Pad your numbers a little bit. Get your white mage some love.
Uh, quit the group if you did what?
I don't know what they're talking about.
I have no clue. All right. So yeah, this is all the same stuff that we normally see here, stacking up. And it looks like, again, there's no need to do an order here. You just need to make sure that you're paying attention to your tellers. And this is a machinist point of view. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yep. You got to look away from the Zoidberg.
And then we're doing slow res. Look at this. This is slow res.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? There's no damage going out. Oh, well, I guess like that's about the end. Like they were probably like doing some mad damage here. That was pretty fast.
Yes, yes. You're right. Sorry, I didn't even realize that was our bard talking. Yes, and that. Yeah.
Oh, you don't even know who your bard is. Okay, and let's see if they have anything different here about their strat that we need to look into.
I mean, there's not really too many different ways to handle these mechanics here.
Yeah, there's nothing actually different to do about these mechanics, so maybe we can
There's
give it
some
a
good
hop.
ways to screw them up, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they have any
Yeah,
defs on here about this one.
Yeah.
But I mean, you see that black mage, he can just sit way back there for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But except for when the Beyblade comes down right at him. So he's got good leyline position in that he can be in either, because the Beyblades will cut, the chakrams will come down in like either 3 different like rings heading out from the center. So if you only have 2, there's always gonna be like one safe kind of distance
Yeah.
that you can be from the center.
Yeah, it's one motivation for cleaner DPS or sorry, having higher DPS on it, but
Yeah, but his leyline positioning was good in that he could be in either 3 of those.
Okay.
like again talking about DPS, it's a lot of the DPS checks for at least actually most of these fights, to be honest, is around like you can make the fight easier if your DPS is higher, right? But that might get fixed just with gear anyways too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's
that's
learning
the
the fight.
motivation.
Yeah.
That's fair motivation too. Like it's not like the end, you just have to work harder if your DPS is lower.
Yeah.
Mechanics, and it is a little bit harder for sure, but it's not the end of the world.
I mean, you can technically get through this phase even letting just about every single ball go through. So you technically don't need any DPS.
I guess that's true. You could just overheal,
Yeah.
right?
I was really curious if I was going to see 3 healer strategies this tier, for like just cheesing like mechanics, but it just wasn't worth it, and how it ended up happening.
They put enough actual like little DPS checks here and there to
Well,
make it
Astro
so.
regen and White Mage regen stack, right? Up there's another
There's
death.
a death
Ninja's dead.
from the orb damage command.
Oh, an important thing about this phase is, when you resurrect, you take no damage, right?
Mhm.
A lot of the things here will ignore that. I think a lot of the
he's right.
the brawler mechanics and the orb explosions, I know, ignore the invulnerability from raising. We've had people
100%.
res and then immediately get killed by the big orb explosion.
Huh.
So.
Yeah, we've had that too. They've raised into a green orb and immediately die. There's no invulnerability when you raise in that phase. That's really, yeah. I haven't encountered that too much before, but that's a really good point.
Oh man, they're waiting. They're not going for no speed kill here. Yeah, but if you had a Astro...
Maybe this is a video where they skip... No, they have race sickness, I wonder. I know this group skipped the snipers before, so I don't know if this is the one where they did it.
Yeah, they could have been just lining up cooldowns there.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, you can do that. Like, you could kill these bosses so much faster just by waiting a little bit, as long as you have the time to wait for the Global Rage. That's not really a progression thing to do, but yeah, they're just destroying this guy.
But yeah, Astro, White Mage, and Scholar could work, right?
They're saying that this isn't the one they skipped it on, but I know they have before.
Okay. Let's see. Yep, they do limit break here. So this is what you would do if you were doing a limit break, and I'm guessing they have a Hollow Ground or something similar up, right?
They have probably Living Dead. Yeah, they have Living Dead. It's triggered right now, right? Yeah, and you only got one vulnerability stack there. So yeah, they do it in the middle. We do it by the wall. The middle is pretty good because it's right beside the Hard Helm and Hard Mine. It's really just there's a lot of, it's all about preference, right? What your tank's like and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there. So that we got to see the limit break right there. And I'd say that if you're having any issues on Swindler or consistently getting to Vortexer, limit breaking there is really good, especially when you're practicing Vortexer. Our first kill on this fight, we were doing limit break.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
So
probably
they
going to
they are
be
burning
doing
it.
it.
Okay, yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought they said no in chat. So they had raise sickness on the ninja and they still got it.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. The sniper happens, but they don't have to deal with it.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
you can
just
just
like
kill
a
them and
couple
end the
seconds
mechanic.
later, like there's so many up, you might have people getting killed.
Okay. No parse here, though. That's not good. We need parsers. We need this on FF log so we know you're not one of those one of those
Basically,
guys.
Azumi world first ninja, and then that's all you need to know.
Okay. Uh, just because you gotta get your stuff controlled so you make sure your black mage isn't cheating those GCDs, right? Or else I can't. How do you trust this if I don't have a parse up for it?
I mean, you got video. You can watch the fire 4 bar go.
Yeah, I guess you could count it. You could time it. You could have a
A
little
little stopwatch. Yeah.
and check each one. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. I mean, this is a pretty good. I like how you guys throw these way markers. So basically, you guys just train yourself to throw those way markers up as soon as you get there.
Pretty much.
Yeah, if you want a good first attempt once you get to Vortexer and they're not up already, or somehow they got reset, you just have a couple. We split it up with between our group. I used to do them, but it was just terrible for me to do it as a ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they've got the A markers showing where you drop the puddle. It looks like, or like
heard
where the a safe spot away from the tornado is for drainage.
It's really good.
So this is actually nice seeing someone else kind of go through and do these mechanics.
yeah,
'cause
they're
you see
so
all their
many.
ideas and everything.
And
Yeah,
there's-
I like how they tank it in the center because it really cuts down the amount of movement the melees need to do.
So yeah, I need to get video. So basically, next time we do this, I have to gather a whole bunch of videos, and I know that there's differences in there, so we can go over those differences too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these fights have a lot of different ways to go about them.
Okay, so heavily armed, the Dwight here. He wants to. He has a question. He wants to know what makes machinists so good in this fight. I constantly see them at the top of FF logs, but I don't run with one, so I don't get how they do it. And that's just because I would say machinists are, with the buffs they have, are overpowered right now. A little
Yeah,
bit.
even bards do very high damage depending on your strategies for the fight, but machinists are just like they buff their own damage and they just have really high mobility, and they are completely unaffected by which debuffs they get. In fact, even if they get some of them, like ice, in some worst case scenarios, they're still going to do potentially a very high amount of damage. We don't run with it with machinist either. But
We don't run with one either, apparently anymore.
But
and, like,
but that's it's. I know what you're talking about, and yeah, it's just they.
Yeah.
Even bards do good damage on this fight and can out DPS melee if given the right scenario.
It's a combination of their mobility, the small little bits of downtime you get to have more cooldowns up,
Yep.
and because machinist more little cooldown time means you get more ammunition stacks, more things like that.
Range do in this fight.
Yep. They also get AOE. Their AOE is pretty good. So both in that the third boss and the first one, there's some AOE packs that you can just burst on a bit. But besides that, yeah, this is just, and machinist is also overall pretty strong this tier. So
Yep. Yeah. So all those things combined, right?
Again, I don't know why they buffed Machinists. They were in a perfect spot. I was happy playing Machinists, and now they just made them overpowered, and now they're the new hip thing, and I don't know. Can't do it anymore, man. All right, so let's go in here, and we're gonna look at just the last part of Farana's part here, because they're talking about how they stack for fire. They wanted to give us an example here, so we're gonna do that. Search, boom. All right, and then where's it at? It's this one here. So I'm gonna skip to the next one. And let's go to, oh, this is a long video. Let's go to Vortex here. Where are we at? This is two.
okay, yeah.
All right, so we need
So
to go
that was
back
what
a
they
little
wanted
bit.
to see. Yeah.
So let's go back to the beginning of Vortexer here. Gosh, man, Vortexer is most of the video.
I think I looked at this video when we were, or maybe this is a more modern one. Definitely looked at one
Yeah,
of
All
the.
right,
we
this
go.
is the end of Swindler. This is
Yeah, this is
heading
a
right
good
into
spot.
Vortexer here. And so it was looking like they were baiting out and then moving it back in, which is, another way to just handle that mechanic so you don't need to move the boss as much.
Yeah, and so let's.
It also probably ties into where they're dropping their tornadoes and things like that.
And this is also nice because there's different strategies that work perfectly fine too, right?
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And so people
make
don't
sure-
be
just
nailed down
develop
to
it.
them.
Vortex strategies, please, groups, develop them ahead of time. You don't need to like you're gonna need to test them out a couple of times, but it's a lot of organization that you just do not need to do once you get to the fight. With the amount of knowledge we have now on these
Okay.
mechanics, so
Yeah, so they just kind of go out, and they're just like, all right, well, fire's out
Yeah.
there.
oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think I've seen a
I
couple.
mean,
like
that's
that.
fine too. I would just put them on the edge of the arena too. You can do that, and then
It makes it harder to. I
right.
guess it just depends where the boss is because the fire beam happens right after, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's a little bit harder to spread out if you have the if you're at a wall, but it could work.
Yeah. So all right. Well, so that makes sense. I mean, you don't have to stack for it.
Right.
But I
Yes.
mean, if you do stack, it does make it nice and neat,
I
right?
think I think I saw some of the very early kills. I think Angered even did this, where they had everyone spread out and then moved in afterwards for the Earth, the molten Earth or whatever they're called. Yeah,
Mhm.
something very similar to this.
Okay. Yeah. So this works perfectly fine here. Let's pause this one, and I am going to pull one from Reddit because I knew I would. Actually, Cleese is here, and he posted one. And basically, there's a lot of mess ups going on in Vortexer, so let's check this guy out. I'm pulling them. All right, and then we'll stop soon here with these videos. We go on for quite a while on it. Let's add this one to the playlist, and then search. Boom. Go back. I like saying boom after I do something. Makes me feel cool. And then that was I'm gonna guess here. Oh, nice, Cleese.
And were we looking for something specific in this one? Or?
Just watching them have fun with Vortexer at the end.
Okay.
Because I was looking for ones where people died a lot, and apparently they had some they had a rough time here on Vortexer. And let's just go to the very beginning of it. I think it's right there is where.
Another cool strategy
Yeah.
that's one of my favorites my personal favorite strategy for Vortexer is the one that Arthas is doing, where he actually has most of the group running around and all taking the water debuff constantly, and they just move the boss in like a triangle, and like 6 people get hit by the water debuff. That's actually my personal favorite strategy for Vortexer because it's reduces the damage the most
Right.
that's occurring, and it makes it so you don't even have to really think about compressed water. You just have to think about the thunder. So it's really simple to learn too, as long as your tanks know exactly how to move the boss around.
So they stack. They're like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. Fair enough.
Stack and spread.
And then I'm waiting for Cleese to die. He apparently died.
They're a little spread out here.
Unless they just kind of move away from the boss, but that's kind of weird.
Oh, that was a
Oh, there
quick
you go,
kill.
there you go. It's for before Elemental Jammer. There you go.
Yeah. And there's a mess up on a tank swap here.
So you have a tank going to like 3 stacks or something. Okay, that's cool. You can see how hard they get hit.
Yeah. And he's got thunder, so he's about to get evaporated here.
Ooh.
Ray sickness with thunder. I see.
No, he's making it through. He's fine. It's swap. Is he gonna get it back and then get evaporated?
Well, I don't think the tank dies. I think they just don't have a good
I hope
tank
I
swap
hope
there.
they didn't have a tank mistake here because he's got compressed thunder. Yeah, they did. Holy crap.
Ugh.
He's at 3 stacks and he's got compressed thunder right now. I don't know what he's popping though, but he wasn't getting hit too bad actually. I don't know if they were just spamming.
They could have been spamming healing.
Yeah,
Whoa.
because I've seen the second stack hit really hard.
That was a weird res to see that explosion happen. I was like, what? Did it just bug out?
Yeah, you don't wanna res while that cast is going
Right.
off.
So if you trade it, it's not bad as long as the other person's still alive for compressed lightning and everything, or compressed thunder or compressed water. As long as you trade it successfully, it won't cause a wipe.
Right. Okay. I feel like I kind of still, I kind of got this a little bit better.
Gotta look. This is a good Vortex is a good fight to look on, like understand the mechanics in paper and then write it out, and then just kind of figure out your own way of memorizing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh. Black.
And we actually did, while we were learning it, once we had our strategy down, we did some dry pulls on once we got to Vortex, where we
Problem bug?
stopped DPS.
Okay. I see.
Did no DPS, just had everybody walk around and do the dance. And like as soon as we could get to the final flash without doing DPS, like, okay, now we're just gonna go kill it. Just because everybody needed to get that like ingrained into their head. It's like, this is what I'm doing, and then that's what I'm doing, and then this is what I'm doing. and not having to like press buttons on top of that made it like really
So
easy.
you just forced them to see like that first rotation.
Yep.
It's a very good idea to do that kind of stuff, especially on fights that are very mechanic heavy towards the end of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good to just like stop thinking about DPS. I'm pretty sure on our kill, I don't think our healers were doing like any DPS. So there's just not really a reason to do it.
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Not at the top of. This isn't a machinist that has the top parts here, guys. We were talking about that earlier. This is not that case. Poor Cleese. So.
Oh, you do. Oh, by the way, that earth, yeah. So you can see that he has a debuff right now. If you touch the molten earth, you get a debuff that it slows you and hits pretty hard, actually. So it's, yeah, it's you very much do not clip those.
And that's it never goes away, right? If
I don't think so. No,
it
it's
has no
pretty nasty to
duration.
get hit by that little molten earth. Like they're more deadly than you think.
Oh,
can they kill this?
Yeah, they got this.
Okay.
They got 3 seconds.
Oh.
Boom! LB's gonna kill it.
Oh! Did it kill him or did it just?
Sitting
They got it. They did it.
They got it. I just want to see if they're all dead on the ground.
There's the main tank who has 4.
a good
I thought there was
They're alive there.
there's the auto clean happening.
Yeah.
The limit break does a lot of damage. These guys
They
don't
could
have
buff their numbers like that, I guess. On the...
I guess yeah. I guess you could.
No, they're all still
There you
alive.
go.
Except for one person. One person died. Okay. That was pretty good. That ending was pretty good. All right, I think we're good on... No, we don't need to see your video again.
Oh.
Oh. I think that was a pretty good rundown on videos there, guys. I hope everyone... I know we had a lot of people who's cleared A6S in the chat multiple times, and I'm glad you guys are coming to see how other people are doing it, and not just the troll completely about the entire thing. But, I mean, I feel a little bit better about the fight because I feel like I've seen it a little bit. I've seen it 4 times now, and we've talked into it very deep into detail, and I
try not to
appreciate
get
you guys.
discouraged while you're learning it. It's
Yeah.
it's just a knowledge. It's a knowledge fight. Like your knowledge is ultimately what gets you through the fight.
Mm-hmm. Are there any last points you guys want to make about this fight that you feel like maybe we kind of didn't cover fully?
No, I think we got a pretty thorough
Yeah,
job through here.
We got a pretty thorough job of that fight. And do you guys enjoy this fight right now? I mean, you've seen every single fight right now. I know you guys are still working on A8 at the moment, but this in comparison to M1, M2, M3, do you feel like this is one of the top ones in your book, or is this like kind of one of the lower fights?
This is a pretty fun fight. I like all of it except for Blaster, the first guy.
I'd say that as a melee DPS, unfortunately, I can't put this on the top of my list because it's not very melee friendly. But I do have fun trying to make it as close to melee friendly as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And as just a raider in general and someone who likes fights, like I think the design of this fight's really cool, and I like would rave about it quite a bit often, like for a while now, because I thought it was just really unique and fun. But yeah, no, for me, I've been really enjoying A7S for melee DPS. It's really fun to do all like the dodging and the little like last second dodges to try and keep your uptime on targets and stuff like that. So
yeah, I guess comparing it to the rest of this tier, it's actually at the bottom of my list for this tier, but it's above everything else last tier. So.
Even A3S?
Yeah.
Like A3S? Okay. I don't know. I thought A3S was a good way to cap off that tier for me because I didn't want to do A4S. I tried, but I didn't clear it. And trying to go in there and clear it right now with people who don't know the mechanics is still just as hard as if you went in there back when it was first out, because those mechanics will still wipe you pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully they'll go over soon. When they have the 25% buff on it, maybe I'll go back and clear it.
You walk in with your 240 gear and, just push it over one day. Like, hey, what was everybody talking about? This wasn't hard.
This is stupid. What mechanics? I don't even see them.
What quarantine? These people talk about this quarantine mechanic. We just killed all the legs.
Yeah.
It's popped up when we one-shot them.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see if there are ways to speed kill A8S. And how people might figure those out if there is, because it's a very... I'm not going to say too much because I don't know too much about that like the experience of doing that fight, but it just doesn't seem like it's really easy to speed kill that fight.
I mean,
it's hard to...
There's definitely ways you can optimize it, and once your DPS is high enough, you can probably skip mechanics.
I think people will find some pretty interesting things when that does come up, so I can't wait to see when it does. But it's definitely one that it'll take some creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. All right, guys. Do you have any shout-outs that you want to do to anybody while we're still here on air?
Shout out to everybody on my raid team. We just went through a week of 3 a.m. Eastern raids because that was the only time we could schedule it. It was like, when can we raid? And this is the only time this week. It's like, okay, that's what we're doing this week. So everybody was a good sport. Everybody got up and we actually did some good progress. So shout out to Cupcake McFireballs. He streams on Twitch. Shout out to Drexen. He streams on here. Shout out to QC Empire on Twitch. And Sardigan as well. Shout out to him. Everybody else on the team as well who don't stream typically, but
And
they
you're
were actually
doing like midnight streaming right now.
yeah, we were doing that. We were doing that for that, but we're off of that schedule now. We're back to normal thing. So thank God. It was fine, and then I got like sick right at the beginning of it. I'm like, this is gonna be horrible. So, well, we made it through. We got some good progress, and hopefully, we're getting the kill this weekend.
Man,
Yeah.
that has to be really exciting. Like so you think maybe tonight or tomorrow you're thinking you're gonna get a clear on it,
Could be.
and you're gonna be What time are you streaming that right now? You're not doing midnight streaming, you said, right? So
That's right. We're starting tonight at 8, and then tomorrow at 8 Pacific.
okay.
We're starting at 11 p.m. Pacific tonight.
I'll have to
Uh,
make sure to host you after I'm done my raid because that's right when we end.
All right, yeah. We'll
Nice.
probably be going on Sunday at I want to say 9 Pacific, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, and then the same time on Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And there's gonna be a lot of streams up, so you'll probably see at least one of we have like 4 or 5 people on our team who stream.
Oh,
So
so you guys are just basically giving what angles do you have? You have White Mage, right?
yeah, we have White Mage, we have our Paladin, we have me as Summoner, we have our Bard. I don't think our Melee stream, our Scholar streams sometimes. Yeah, so we've got a lot of perspectives going on there.
Nice.
And my stream's pretty boring when I stream though, and I have pretty low quality. So
Like,
you should go watch
do you
one
not
of
have
them.
high
Awesome.
upload or not?
I do have high upload. I just my CPU was acting funny for a little bit, and I was getting blue screens. So I just undid the my overclocking, and I had to step down my stream settings.
Okay.
So
Well, sorry. I remember when we used to have a guy named Adagio on here. You don't know him, Balana. Ark, you know him. That guy streams literally in like at 360p. I mean, it has to be like no higher than 360p, and it's so bad because it's just like a whole bunch of pixels going on at the same time, and I couldn't even imagine doing that. I'm at the point where Kerr and I could both be streaming at the same time, and we'd still be good on our uploads probably.
nice.
But we pay a lot of money to do that. A good old business internet.
Oh yeah. Also shout out to Goka's A8 Savage Guide that he put out this week.
Do you have a link to that?
Oh yeah, that is really good.
Yeah.
That
Let me
is
pull up a link to that real quick because it is really awesome guide. It's really thorough. He went through and he made like YouTube clips of every single mechanic and uploaded them. So like these like 5-second little clips, and in the guide you can like click a jump to link on every mechanic in its description. That
good explanation of how the mechanics work and how they dealt with them, because some of it, it's random how they can be set up, because again, you got the ads going on again, like brawler and enumeration on random targets and stuff like that. So that I've been waiting for something that kind of explained that stuff so I could kind of read up on it. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, Yojobo has the mod sword, so he's okay at post links.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the reason, because you've been on here so many times. Like, you post links. Why not?
Last
Why
minute
not?
shows, right? Gets you a
Yeah.
mod.
all right, hold on. Let me pull up some horse porn real quick. and start looking at that.
All right,
Wait.
I can get rid of that sword pretty quick. Ark, by the way, thank you so much for coming on again, man. I always appreciate you coming on. Do you have any shout outs that you want to do to anybody?
Again, just my raid group who came over to support me, and supporting me doing this right before raid too.
Yeah.
So I'll have to make sure I take a little break so I'm not too like messed up for it.
Yeah.
And of course, server Diablos too, and all the people on it, and all the raid groups on it are like also kind of help kind of bring us up too and support us too.
Yeah. And I'm
Come by the stream, give good advice.
at the moment I am working talking to Caraway, and I believe that we should have a show next week on World First. Cross your fingers. It's been 3 weeks in a row. Maybe we'll get it down packed this time.
Be a good
And-
one.
Yeah, with Layla and Caraway on the show, and then we'll talk about it. I have to kind of make sure that he's okay to go with that show. If not, then it'll keep getting pushed back until we can get a solid World First show for you guys. The other things that I need to make sure that I go over is I want to make sure that you guys all understand I appreciate the viewers here, as trolly as you are. today. I appreciate you guys coming in and helping us out by just watching the stream. I appreciate Kerr, who did a lot of work getting the videos, and also going out there, moderating the chat, getting questions, and Tari for the music, and Blizana for the artwork. Rinchan now, I don't know if I can get him on there. I think I tried to get him on like the Bard show once, and he was like, "No, I don't do that." That might not be true. That could have been a whole totally different situation. But yeah, I'd love to get some people on. So anyways, guys, the last bit here is that we need to make sure that we host somebody. And I want you guys to choose someone to host. But before we do that, you guys have definitely really helped me out with the show, coming on here 3 times in very urgent situations over the last month. While I'm out searching for a job, doing these things, and I'm like, got all this crap going on in my life. But I want to keep this up and keep going. So for me to show my appreciation to you guys, and I'm going to have to flip this screen so it doesn't mess up everything. I am going to send you guys a Benu mount.
Oh.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
I'll give you the guys the code so it doesn't show up here and here. I'll switch it over. Actually, I could probably do that real quick.
I appreciate it, man. I mean, next time you'll probably be calling me even closer to the start.
Yeah, even closer. I'm etching in there, man.
I got like a 1-day head up, and then I got like a 12-hour heads up, and today I had like 3 hours. So like,
yeah.
I gotta eat
you
my
had
words here because I was calling that a pay-to-win glamour mount.
Yeah. So I mean, you get T12 music with that too. It's a pretty cool mount.
Yeah,
there.
it is pretty awesome.
So
Thanks, Rusty. It's awesome.
yeah, thanks, man.
I don't know if I linked you guys the same code or not. I might have linked you the very same code. Let me make sure this copy's over. Ark, use the second code here. Don't steal
it's
his
a race.
mount.
It's a race. Let's go.
Don't
Who's gonna get
steal
it
his
first?
mount. So use the second one there, Ark. And there we go. I'm going to go back to the screen here again. But I want to make sure that you guys got that because it has helped me out a lot. It does mean a lot that you guys are helping me out with coming on and talking about it. You guys are both extremely intelligent players, too. Way past anything that I'm doing.
I still learn stuff from you all the time, Frosty.
Learn stuff from my mistakes, how I easily cheat through things. I'm like, how's the easiest way I can do this?
I mean, it's always fun to be on here, man. I'm always down
exactly
to clown,
right.
So
I appreciate the down into clowning, man. It's great. So did you guys find someone to host, by the way? Let's look at, make sure we get that taken care of here before we go up
I was
there.
pulling that up. Odo streaming. We could do that.
Odo.
X-Man Games. He was on your Bard show. I think he's playing Summoner right now, actually.
He is playing Summoner right now, and I haven't given him a host in a while here. So yeah, let's give. Are you good with that, Ark?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we'll send a host over to him. No, you don't got to. Let's do a host over to Axeman Games. I think Mr. Happy's okay. I don't think that he needs a host right now.
Well, Happy is in that raid. It's the only thing.
Oh, so you will see it. It will be there. Guys, thank you again for coming to watch the show. It's been a pleasure to go through all this again. And we will be here next week. I will update my Twitter if you guys want to know any updates to what we're doing next week. For Twitter, go to follow me at Frosty TV Stream. And you'll be able to see everything I have with the show when I'm going to have a new one. And if it's last minute like this, you'll know in the morning of Saturday when we're going to have a A6S discussion. Next one is A7.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, we got that in the pocket whenever you need to pull it out.
we got it in the pocket, yeah. All right, guys. Have a good time. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Going to go to the intro screen so it's not so awkward. Bye. All right. Hit the host button.